Greetings, greetings. Great Garvey Day to one and all. This is the UNIA London Division's study group dealing with lesson 10 of the School of African Philosophy, or Lectures to the People's Course of African Philosophy we'll be reading from. And today we're going to go over the topic of economy. This is President General Morama Kamal speaking. And I have also with me today Brother Minister Majaliwa, Commissioner of the UNIA in London, or in the UK, I should say. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Greetings, President General. How are
Yes,
you doing today?
I'm ready to roll. One of my favorite topics, as always. Yeah, I love every topic Mr. Garvey ever discussed and how he discussed it. So we can go right into lesson number 10 on the economy. Now I'll do the reading. There are several kinds of economy, but this subject deals specifically with financial economy. Economy is based upon good and sane judgment. The practice of it is that you must always be on the safe side of your bargains or your dealings. Never exhaust yourself, always have a reserve. There should always be something left over that you may fall back on in times of need. Money is the prop of life, and that it pays for all necessities and offers security for all opportunities. In earning money, one should never spend as much money as he earns. That is bad business. Whatever his earning capacity, he should always be thrifty enough to save at least 15 to 20% of his income, storing it up for making better opportunities when they come and providing for a rainy day. If you spend all you earn, you're on the edge of bankruptcy all the time. If you spend more than you earn, you're not only a fool, but you are a very dishonest person, and you are bound to suffer without any other chance. Therefore, always make it a policy to save money out of your earnings, never mind how small it is. If you have better commercial ideas than your present job calls for and your present remuneration warrants, then save out of your present earnings to take advantage of the opportunity to improve yourself within a reasonable time in achieving these ideas. Never engage yourself in living luxuriously when you can live ordinarily. Ultimately, you are bound to fail and be the laughing stock of your friends in the community by not being able to keep up your luxurious standard of living on a limited purse. Never buy anything for more money than you have or positively expect to have within the time limited for the purchase. Never give away money that you cannot spare. Never give away anything of value that can be turned into money except you can spare it. Never borrow on interest from anybody. If you can, within a reasonable time, pay your debts. If you pay your own debts with your own money, you will save the interest for yourself that you pay to others. The moment you start paying interest to others on money borrowed, you become a slave working for somebody else. It is better to wait until you have the money yourself to do a thing before you borrow it to purchase that thing and pay interest on it. At the same time, you must use good judgment to find out whether it is to your advantage to seek an opportunity of doing something big with someone else's money, even with interest to be paid. You must decide if that particular business will positively bring enough to meet the interest and give you sufficient profit to justify the risk you take in assuming the responsibility of paying interest others to others may be of value. The moment you are loaned money on interest to do anything, the person loaning you the money must be credited as being wise enough to know beforehand if more money can be made out of the thing or investment than only the interest. If it is so, it is likely that he himself will go into that business and not give you the chance to go into it with his money. He may be a friend and want to help you, but few money lenders are friends. They are lending for usury and not and have no souls. At least their souls are bad. So be careful in borrowing money to go into business. It is better you save and wait until you are able to go into business on your own account before you take the risk. It is bad business to go into any business without enough capital to run that business. 99 cases out of 100 will fail. Always consider costs before you go into anything. And in figuring out the cost, be sure that there is a margin of profit before you do the thing. Otherwise, it's not worthwhile doing. If you're going to address a meeting 100 miles away, first count the cost of railroad fare, transportation to and from, the cost of the meeting, your living expenses while going and staying at the meeting, and returning from the meeting. The percentage to pay those who are looking after the meeting, and the prospect of getting a crowd large enough that will meet all these expenses and leave you with a profit of at least 25%. If there is no profit in it, you are taking the risk, and when you are finished, you will be sorry you went. Always work out beforehand the possible financial results of every transaction, and be sure that your arrangements are of such as to bring profit at the end. Otherwise, you're wasting time. As far as the UNIA is concerned, you should always calculate for profit for the association in everything you do. Profit comes in many ways to the association. For instance, if you go to address a meeting 100 miles away, profit will come by new members joining the association, the establishing of agencies there for the association. Leaving behind the sentiments of the association may be an advantage to any money you receive for the expenses of the meeting. As long as you have converted and attached someone permanently to the UNIA, that may be considered as profit. Always seek to get some profit. Otherwise, your work is a failure. When your work is to be judged, you will find that a balance sheet of how much you have received and how much you have dispersed as a representative of the association, and how much net you have turned into the movement, and how much morally you have helped the movement will be called for. If your balance sheet shows that for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, you have not added anything net to the association, your importance in it is nil. You will not account for much. Your status will be far below that of others who have been more valuable to the movement. A president or representative who can show that for the year he or she has turned over $500, $1,000, or $10,000 net to the association occupies a position of eminence that calls for the greatest recognition of service rendered. Another president or representative may occupy no such position of recognition because of his failure. Men and women are promoted on their record. Their record must be profitable. If their record is that of failure, they remain failures until they can prove otherwise. There is no other standard by which you can judge the ability of a man. Always seek to get substantial value for their work, because you will never be able to recall them as they move along. Whenever you want to sell something, unless you meet somebody who is badly in need of that thing, you're always going to be offered less than the value of the thing. So never buy anything for its full value, otherwise you will have it at a loss. It is better to buy things for cash or on short term rather than on long term. A long term purchase carries a greater percentage of interest on the purchase. Something that you purchase on terms that can be bought at almost half the price if bought for cash, because people are also anxious to sell for cash, even though they make a sacrifice of the thing because they want the cash. When you buy on terms, you must bear the burden, not the seller. When you buy for cash, the seller bears the burden and the loss to get cash. Always have cash, and bargains will always show up. If you have no cash, when you see bargains and want them, you pay twice the price for them when you buy them on terms. Never live above your income. Never live up to your income. Never assume responsibility when you are not prepared for it. It will burden you down. Never marry broke. Never marry before you are ready. Never allow anyone to force you to do anything against your will. If you can see a thing and get good results from it at a cheaper price, don't pay a dearer price except you have money to throw away. Don't lose your head thinking therefore you must grab it now. Following that attitude, you may find yourself to be a big fool, because what you grab here, thinking it is a wonder, you may find thrown away next door, not worth anything. Always look around first when you are in doubt. Try to find the duplicate. You may come back to the first, but if a thing is in the neighborhood with one person, it is almost likely that a similar thing is also in the same neighborhood. Search the neighborhood first before you decide to lay all of your money on one thing. Never think that one thing or that one person is the only peach in town. There may be better peaches on the tree. Try to curb your weakness for being a spendthrift. Every time you're tempted to spend 10 cents or a dollar on a frivolous thing that you will not get any direct profit or return from, hold your hand. Count 10 before you do the thing. Say to yourself, have I any other pressing need or use for this money before better than this frivolous thing? There's always something else that you really need. Therefore, you will keep the money in your pocket. Never give your money away outside of your race. If you are called upon to give it to God, ask God if God is really going to get it. Only when you feel that it is going into a channel that God will really appreciate himself should you give it. Because God himself doesn't want money, but a good cause in his name may need it. And you should first find out if there is really a cause. To send a man touring around the world in the name of God for his own pleasure is not giving to God. To give a man more worldly goods than he has already is not given to God. To give to help carry on social service work in the community, or to help the poor or of the community, or to rescue the children of the community is giving to God. If you have to be critical in giving to God, be even more so when you give to man. It must be for a good cause, and the nearest cause to you is the cause of your own race. Never fail to give charity when charity is needed within your own race, but don't allow yourself to be tricked. If an old thing is good, don't buy a new one. Don't follow fashion for fashion's sake. Follow your own judgment for intelligence sake. If nothing is wrong with your suit of clothes, don't buy a new one because someone else has done so. All it may need is attention, and so with everything, you may badly need the money later on that you may spend on a new suit. It is better to have the money than the thing, because when trouble comes, you can run with your money, but you may not be able to carry all the things. The largest sum of money can be carried in your pocketbook, while the weight of other things may cause you to wait for the next train, and by waiting, you may lose. Put your values more in money than in things. Only have those things that are necessary. If you have the ambition to be greater than you are, and you don't have the means to immediately do so, then practice rigid thrift in your present position by saving as much as you can so that in a given period of time, you will be able to change your position to reach your objective. Never consume all you have and then expect to climb higher. It cannot be done. Never go into anything in business that you know nothing about. No fool can make a success of anything. Therefore, know your business before you go into it to make a profit out of it. Never live on the capital of your business. You must live on the profit. If you start to live on the capital, there will soon be no capital and no business. If you mean to stay in that business, whatever the profit is, live only on the profit and not on of that profit. Otherwise, the time may come when you have to live on the capital because you made no profit for that period. Business is only successful when you are making profit and not spending all the profit. Whenever an enemy or any person attempts to create prejudice against your organization within the government, take immediate steps to counteract the statement and reassure the government that you have no intention of doing anything not in keeping with the law. Always watch for this because the government can easily outlaw your organization and curtail or prevent your activities. Therefore, don't join any movement that the government is not favorably inclined to tolerate, chiefly communists. Let the communists fight their own battles. Let other people carry on their own discord. Have nothing to do with them. The more they carry on discord and you keep away from it, the better it will be for you because by keeping your head, you will be able to see more clearly and get an advantage. Never let the government put you on the defensive. It will create prejudice against you. Keep out of court as much as you can. If possible, never go there except to do social service work to help others. Try to never be charged with a crime or be on trial. It will affect the association and affect you. Always try first to settle racial disputes without going to the law. Law is expensive and uncertain. When you go to the law too often, you establish a bad record, and when anybody else wants to know anything about you, particularly government officials, they can search the court records. Keep away as a defendant. Encourage the people to keep away and not waste their money in litigation. If their litigation can be settled by you or any responsible representative of the race. The people pay too many fines in court. The money they pay for fines could be used for their families and their own benefit. Always counsel Negroes not to be anxious to start litigations or to prosecute each other if it can be avoided. Going to court too often gives the race a bad name and causes the government to think badly of the race. Always try to impress the government that you are a law-abiding citizen so that when you make a request of the government, it may respect the request. Always keep your good work before the government and make the government aware of it, particularly social service work, charitable work, educational work. This does not mean racial education. Your racial education is private, like the Jews. Make the government aware of all public education tending towards good citizenship. It should prominently be brought to the attention of the government. That concludes lesson 10 on the economy. It's taught to the students of the School of the African Philosophy by the Most Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And with that, pass the mic on to our beloved host and hostess, Commissioner Majaliwa and Assistant Nyasha.
Yes, Mr. President. Great, excellent reading. Sorry to cut your wisdom, sister.
No, continue.
No, I was just saying great reading. That's all.
You're saying the same thing. It's all good. Very, very good. It's nice to hear you reading, my brother. Great Garvey Day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, that was a powerful, powerful reading. Just imagine how advanced Mr. Garvey's thinking was to make sure his officers receive all these lessons. I mean, and these were lessons told in 30 days. Of course, many of these officers had been practicing the lessons and had been around Mr. Garvey for some time. And so they were somewhat already practicing some of these qualities and characteristics that he is trying to instill. But to actually make it plain and to put it in writing and lay it out the way he did on all these subjects, including the economy, is just super profound to me. I don't know too many leadership models today that will equip their leaders to be so efficient about how they conduct themselves and how they pursue, business and industry, etc. The way Mr. Garvey did. So it's a lot that can be derived from that lesson. Show you.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know any leader that has prepared its members and its leaders with any lessons like this whole book. Even though we're talking about the economy, he's telling you how you should save money, how you should get money, how you should spend money. A lot of the time we're trained to, beg for what we want. I'm saying we're trained this way, but with this kind of teaching, we can afford to buy what we want and what we need.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's it's a very important lesson for Black people, because we are the most we spend our money the most careless when it comes down to money spending. Like, we spend our money on foolishness all the time. You want to make money, sell stuff to Black people. You know what I mean? So it's a very important topic. I want to welcome brother Sando to the conversation also. Greetings, great Garvey Day, my brother.
Great Garvey Day.
How you doing today, sir?
We're doing well. We're doing good. Excellent.
Good. That's excellent. We will just finish reading lesson 10 from Message to the People. I'm just flicking through. There's the whenever he's saying that you should at least try to save 15 to 20% of your income. How many people do that from their paid check? It's like working. I've always had a saying, it's like working in a sports shop and getting paid and then spending all your money in that same sports shop. You work for nothing.
Right.
literally you work for. You have to save your income in order to see the benefit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are definitely quick. I mean, and this is typical of people who never had anything or who don't have much. The minute they get something, they want to demonstrate their you know their resources by displaying how fat the gold chain is or how fly their new tennis shoes are or something to show like they've uh, evolved to come up financially and trying to impress others with their showy display of their means. They're actually making the bigger fools of themselves because that money could have went into something that could have made them more money and then more money to the point that they didn't have to show off. Because if you look at most rich people who really have wealth, they don't spend that kind of money. They don't show off like that. In fact, I remember one lesson years ago when I was coming to a particular conference in Washington, D.C., and I was supposed to be meeting to do an interview with Bob Johnson, the owner of BET. And, I was waiting outside of the facility, to have a quick word, with him. And in the process of waiting for him, I'm looking for this man is a billionaire at the time, owned Black Entertainment Television. And I'm looking for the helicopter to come down and, land on the heliport, or looking for the limousine and the bodyguards to come out, to protect this billionaire. And the man got out of a small little Chevy Cavalier, one of these little tiny cars, the little rental car he had got from the airport. Him and one of his friends, and had on a baseball cap and just regular old clothes, and his whole outfit couldn't have cost more than $150. And walked right past me. I didn't even notice him. And I had to think for a second. I know that guy just walked past me. He looked familiar. And I said, hold up, that's him. I'm like, hold up, I'm looking for the wrong thing. And people who have means don't know they don't have to show off their means. They live in that life. They don't have to impress people with it. But those who don't have it tend always want to show off what they don't have to make people think they do have it. And it's insane. But yeah, that's a lesson that many of us have to get in, because a lot of even politicians, different African nations, etc., famous for coming to the U.S. during the United Nations general meetings, general sessions, and coming here with an expense account. And I've seen some of them were even in, that I know from my ex-wife's side of the family. They coming over from Africa, spending $600-700 on a new suit, getting limos, to the meetings. They're like, what? You got, I gave them like $10,000 to come over here and just blow fanciest hotel, 5-star accommodation, all these things. And I mean, they live in the life. They come in to blow all the money. They could have went back home and saved, tons of lives rather than blowing all that stuff over here they don't really need. So I'm always impressed with people like what's the brother who just Magufuli in Tanzania. And he was kind of like Nyerere. Nyerere, we drive around in a car. He was president, coming to meetings late because his car kept breaking down and putting on the road, and he didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on getting a new one because he felt it was a waste. But people who are like Magufuli, people wanted to go. Some of his diplomats go to different regions and have discussions and want a 5-star accommodations. He's like, oh no, we got a cot for you in the local government building, the government office. You can sleep there. Well, people are spending a whole lot of money on you and your great luxury. You want luxury, you should come out of your pocket. We gave you a paycheck. But people put their minds in the wrong place sometimes, and that's what normally ends to their ruin financially. By not thinking further, far enough down the road.
The sentiment, more money, more problems came to mind when you were talking about the person that walked straight past you. And I guess, people that are smart, that have money, are not going to try and attract too much of a crowd to them, because people are always going to want to try and take or find a way to get or extract out of you, isn't it? And it's about being able to keep what you can as much as you can to grow for your generations and give what it is that that you have as excess. Sorry, and we live in a society where people just see things and want it, and we are the one community in the world that are in a deficit when it comes to money, and we have the most debt. So it's about how can we be self-sufficient. And Marcus Garvey says in the book how we can do that. It's literally a Bible of how to live life step by step in all different areas. And this is important because we won't get ahead if we will never be able to pull our resources together, or at least start with ourselves with like the 15-20% from what we're earning. We already give, as we earn, we already give it away immediately to the government as tax, if you're in a tax bracket. So it's what else can we do to keep what we can, but still live comfortably and have the things that you need, as opposed to just the things that you want and just squandering it away. And it's a good learning. And if it's something that we haven't been doing already, this is a great way to read this chapter and abide by these, I wouldn't say rules, but this kind of guidance, so that we can do better going forward, and that we also have, not just for ourselves, but our children also.
100%, sister. 100%. And Garvey even said that if you spend all you earn, you're on the edge of bankruptcy all the time.
Yes.
And if you spend more than you earn, you're not only a fool, but you're a very dishonest person. So it is, a lot of the time we try to keep up with the Joneses. Garvey's telling us, forget all of that. Yeah, it's better to have money than have the thing. And it's always better to buy cash when you're spending your money. He says, never engage yourself in living luxurious when you can only live ordinary. And even if you look at us today, many times that we're trying to look like we have the money, we're trying to impress somebody, but we can't afford it.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, it's funny because I was having this conversation with a family member this morning, not even realizing that we were doing economy today and what it was going to entail again. And, I was saying we can't live above our means. If it means that you have to sit on a bus an extra hour to save yourself, 2/3 of what a cab would cost you, enable you to save up to maybe get some driving lessons, and then you can buy a car later on. You have to do what's necessary right now, because otherwise you're going to have less going forward. So you have to do the prep work now, as opposed to living large like you've got it and you haven't. So it's about being wise with what you've got. And also I wanted to just add that it's also a habit, because there's many a times, I'll be honest, where I started this journey, then the next minute, I am like the man that's bankrupt. But you have to get yourself into a habit, and once you get yourself into a habit, it then becomes a lifestyle. But you have to keep on top of it, and it has to be conscious. And also, keeping the money in your community. I do not give to charities outside of my race. Why? Mainly because I've seen how much money they've taken from us, and it's gone where? It's done nothing. And they've already had enough from us. They already take enough from us. If I'm going to give to anybody, it's going to be within my race. So just to add that as well as a couple of extra points.
Yeah, no, that's 100% facts. And even when I'm not sure what chapter it is, but what lesson it is, but there's a lesson about charity where it says never give charity to any other race until you have made sure that every Negro is taken care of. So charity starts at home. I'm a firm believer of that. But going back to the point about people trying to impress people by trying to live luxurious when they can only live ordinary. Garvey continues and says, ultimately, you're bound to fail and become the laughing stock of your friends in your community by not being able to keep up your luxurious standards of living on a limited purse. It's like you get some people, will spend 10,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds on a handbag and have no money in there, when they could buy a cheap one and have 10,000 pounds in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about mind state.
Yeah, I mean, how many people are living in a council flat, got the nicest, biggest car, and paying
Outside.
paying huge repayments? I remember watching another show. There was a program called Good Hair, Sorry if I deviate a little bit, with Chris Tucker, I think, or Chris Rock,
Yeah, that's
actually
correct.
hosted
Yeah,
it
I've
years
seen it.
ago.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And I remember watching women having their hair done and spending more on their hair and using their rent money to pay for their hair, or using layaway to do their hair. We have to get out of that's a broke, excuse my French, nigger mindset, and we need to move out of that, because it's not progressive and it's not helpful to our people. We have to know that we have to do for self and do better and lay foundations for ourselves and our community, so that we are not always frowned upon and picked upon by outside forces, and we're not always looking for other to help us get out of a hole, because we know how to do for ourselves. We have to stop this broke, foolish mentality and acting that we have more than we do. It's foolishness. It's absolutely preposterous. And I think, brother Marcus Garvey would be turning his grave and know that this is the light. And I'm sure people did it then, but we have to wise up as a race of people, not just in this area, all areas, and pull our resources together, pull our minds together. And I'm not saying it's easy. We live in tough times, but it was tough times for them at that in the 1920s too. It was just a different type of tough times. And if we're still talking about this now, it just shows how far we've come along. How can we do things better? It's written in stone of how we can do it better. And this is not something new. This is probably something that Marcus Garvey didn't even come up with. Other races have been doing it. We just need to adopt it better and fulfill that part of our lives, so that we can have more, be more, do more, and just be better people as a race.
100%.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and then, thinking about the timing of these lessons. This was only a few years after the Great Depression, when the whole world economy was kind of in the tank, and people were doing quite desperate things to get resources, etc. And so, understanding, the UNIA had in New York, they had a group of Garveyites who were struggling, to be merchants at that time, and they were competing with big department stores, etc. So they had figured a way to equalize some of the disadvantage was to start a push cart brigade. And so they would, take, before the ice cream trucks and all these other things were formed, they would take a push cart with all the basic essentials that people need and go down the street and say, "Hey, sister, brother, you don't have to go to the store. We got what you need right here. What you need: eggs, milk, what you need, socks, what you need. We got this, we got that, and we'll save you the expense of having to go out, and we'll come to you." But these types of things remind me of the section of the reading which said, "If you have the ambition to be greater than you are and don't have the means to do so, then practice rigid thrift." That's a powerful expression. "In your present position, by saving as much as you can, so that in a given period of time, you'll be able to change your position to reach your objective. Never consume all you have and then expect to climb higher. Can't be done. You never go into anything in business that you know nothing about. No fool can make a success of anything. Therefore, your business before you go into make profit out of it. And never live on the capital of your business. Live on the profit." But these are the simple lessons in how to operate, businesses, and how to initiate businesses, and how to maintain businesses. Or lessons that we were learning 100 years ago, under Mr. Garvey, and we demonstrated, we were blessed to do a lot more with less at that time if we just follow these simple instructions. But somehow we've gotten away from that era, and so now we, trying to show off, and have no authority to show off with the little means that we have, and then want to, like I say, get that money first. Time a rapper or somebody get a contract, they want to go to Jacob the jeweler and show off how much money they got, and buy them a fat gold chain and all this crazy stuff, and people all around you suffering and dying, and etc. And you trying to show off, in front of them, and like the sister said, wind up getting robbed, thinking you the man, but everybody else is, they're not happy because they're still suffering, etc. You just trying to show off, they gonna wind up taking that from you. So it's better, the wiser, I should say, to not try to take advantage of people like that. But this is all not to say either that you can't have prosperity and be a Garveyite, because Garvey is the gospel of success, we say, or the
Yes, sir.
gospel of prosperity. So we should get all we can in life, and we should try to be as successful, but just wise in how we manage our resources, so that we can help the race and not just ourselves. So I wanted to make that point as well, so that in understanding the economy, yeah, who was that? The Reverend Ike. He used to always say something similar. Mr. Garvey once said, he used to say that the how you said the poor. No, he was saying that the about the old biblical expression about the rich man won't get into heaven. He was saying, it's better for chance of the rich man get into heaven than the poor. He was saying that people commit crimes when they're poor. They robbing and killing, but those who have the means don't do that much. But it's somebody basically, in other words, let me see what Mr. Garvey once said. He was quoted as saying, anyway, there will be a mighty few poor people in heaven because of the fact that it's much easier for a man who's rich in wealth in the world's goods to live a righteous life than for an unfortunate who is forced to commit what the world considers depredation in order to obtain what he needs. So yeah, we don't want to thrive in impoverishment. We want to live not outside of our means, but want to use every means we can to become more independent financially and stable and able to do things for our race if we want to. So, but yeah, it's a lot to understand and learn about economy that some of us don't have a good grasp of. So, but without further ado, I see we have a special guest that came on the call.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. President General is here, Mr.
Oh, okay.
Duncan.
It's a man who knows. I think he knows a thing or two about the economy. A successful businessman, a longtime friend of mine, and a man who organizes businesses and is successful in pulling the resources of other black or African, Negro, whatever you want to call it, own businesses together in order to improve their bottom line and provide products and services for the community. So definitely I'd like to welcome the honorable, the sagacious President General Michael R. Duncan to the call. Is his mic muted?
No, he's just unmuted his mic, but
Okay.
we can't hear anything. President General.
Can you unmute it?
No, I don't want to unmute it because he might be unmuting it and I end up muting him. So
okay.
He's unmuted now, but I think he's having a slight technical difficulties. He may have to log out and log back in.
Oh, okay. Well, if you can log out and log back in, that may work, President Duncan.
Or maybe you might have to use the settings on your actual device. If you
he's using his phone.
Yeah, you might have to just change it. There's like my computer has its own mic, and then it's got the YouTube mic, so you might need to just change that.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Your computer's a bit more technical than mine.
Die.
You must have one of them new joints that they only give the rich people.
If only I was rich. It's a good few years old now. It's running good, that's all.
No, he still can't hear. He's unmuted, still can't hear anything.
Well, if like I say, if you can hear us, President Duncan, you can try to I guess get off and come back on. Maybe that'll correct something. But in in the meantime, I guess while you work on the technical difficulty. Yeah, I was liking.
There was another quote, but I just thought about it. It says, "Always consider the cost before going into anything." And there's in the art of war, there's a quote that says, "Count the cost before you go to war." I don't know if people are familiar with that, but that quote always stood out to me because sometimes we do things and we don't consider the consequences to what we're doing. So in anything that we do, we must consider the consequences before we do it. I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, this book here is one of the greatest books that's ever been written.
Oh yeah.
This book should be given to every teenager to study it from when they reach that age, so that by the time they're in their 20s, they will have their life together and their things will be sorted for them because they will understand how the world operates.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100% facts.
Yeah, you're right. That's kind of how I always saw it too. It's kind of like what the art of war is for Asian folks, and what the Prince, Machiavelli's The Prince is for the European folk. I see the message to the people is that for us, to help us get on our mission, to improve our lives and our communities and our way of thinking, to get back on track. Because one sister once considered Mr. Garvey the progenitor of the golden age of what do you call it? The African, and what you say, he was the progenitor of the African ancestral sovereignty imperative. But basically teaching us to kind of do for self and to govern self, and kind of restore our way of thinking to one that is more productive and less counterproductive to our own interests. Along that line, I was thinking about a quote of Mr. Garvey's years ago when he was interviewed back in 1924. He once mentioned that the Negro is a cultural tramp in the political gutter of the world. When he evolves his own state built upon a solid industrial foundation, he will be standing upon his own feet instead of walking dressed up in a borrowed civilization. Those words somehow just resonated deeply with me years ago when I read that. A cultural tramp in the political gutter of the world, because we lack not only our own state and our own, self-governance, but we don't have a solid industrial foundation. And that's not just talking entrepreneurship or having a business of your own. He's talking about industry. And when most other ethnic communities begin to get into business, they have an industrial mindset. Like in the U.S., some of the Asian community comes over. They might start with a Chinese food store, then they want to get a second one down the street, then the third and the fourth. Before you know it, they have 10,000 of them, across the state. They have hundreds of thousands of them across the U.S. and they bringing in rice and little, all kinds of products for their restaurants from China by the hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and making their home country rich. And then selling the food into communities of color like ours. Yet, if we were to open up a business in the little Chinese communities, they wouldn't buy a near thing from us. But they think on industry level. They think about hair and nail salons. They want to open up everywhere and own all the hair companies, and they want to take over the entire industry. They don't just look at, we're going to open up a barbershop and that's it, and it's not connected to any other one. They think on industrial level, on manufacturing, on owning and producing. And we need to get back into that kind of thinking on an
Greetings,
industrial
greetings,
level.
brother. Hello.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Greetings,
President.
Mr. President General.
Yes,
How
yes,
you
yes,
doing?
yes. I
Welcome to the
realized
show.
you weren't hearing me before. I was trying to speak, but you weren't hearing me. Is everything? Am I being heard clearly now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Loud and clear.
yes, yes, yes. Family, but I'm grateful to be here, Mr. President General. Thanks for having this forum. It's an honor to be here. Anywhere African people are organizing for the benefits of African people, it's always a blessing. Brother Marimao, I want to thank you for the endless work you have done on behalf of the race and your love you have shown. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I greet you in the name of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the greatest man that ever walked earth. I am fortunate to be a beneficiary from the work of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and the work that each and every one of you, my dear brothers and sisters, are doing. Brothers and sisters, more than any time before, we must organize under the banner of unity, under the banner of the red, black, and green, the banner of one God, one aim, one destiny. And as Mr. Garvey said, economics has to be at the forefront of every movement, is the movement by which we can finance ourselves. It's the movement by which we can support our brothers and sisters. And it's the movement by which we don't have to beg people, brothers and sisters, because no one respect beggars, as Mr. Garvey stated it clear. But we have some work here to do, brothers and sisters, because we see that our brothers and sisters are being stifled, have been suffered all over the world. We are seeing that other countries in Africa, our brothers and sisters, be it Burkina Faso or wherever, Mali or Senegal, wherever, they have to be going to other people for financial help, for security help, for everything. Brothers and sisters, we have to stop that. If there's any difference among us, we have to solve those differences and work on it under the banner of one God, one aim, one destiny, under the banner of unity. Because through economics, my dear brothers and sisters, everything is seemingly possible. Economics is the order of the day. We're able to invest in Africa. We have a farm up and running in Liberia where we're able to hire our brothers and sisters. We have a business here, the Rock, and in the Rock, we hire roughly about 60 Africans, my dear brothers and sisters, that can make a difference. One of the program we have is that we have a relationship with our brothers who are incarcerated in New Jersey. And when they leave, when they come home, they are promised a job at the Rock. And this is where Africans got together, finance our own investment, managing it together. If there's a person in our community who needs a job, even if we don't need anyone, we make sure that we're able to take on that brother or that sister so that brother or that sister can make a living. Because when you're able to make that living, you're able to become a productive member of our society. You're able to contribute to the system. It's just an amazing thing when we can hire our own people, when we can hire our family who organize under the red, black, and green. So, as Mr. Garvey said, everything is great, but economics, if we control economics on the first floor, we control education on the second floor. We control politics on the third floor. We control the police department and all other institutions on the fifth floor. Brothers and sisters, if we get control of the economics, we don't care who the president is. We don't care who the senators are, the governors, all the elected officials, whoever control the economics, they control everything else. So, brothers and sisters, we have to hold tight. We have to hold tight under one banner. Let's no unforeseen scruples keep us apart. Let no nonsense keep us apart, brothers and sisters. The work is here to be done by you and I. The work is here to be done by the black family. And I'm here with you, Brother Marimao, under unity, under one black club, one black family. Brother, you have always been a brother to me since the day I met you, and I'll continue to work with you as the years go by, the months go by. I want to see you and I working much closer as a family so we can bring unity, love, and economic prosperity to our family. Just today we are having a forum where Brother Heru came in from Florida, and I'm actually heading there in a few minutes. But since Brother Marimar invited me on this forum, I had to make sure I come on and show my love and show my respects. But also, he has a product, and one of the beautiful things we're able to do in the Rock, any black person who has a product that they're promoting, that they want to sell. They may not be able to get it in the supermarket, but they can bring it to the Rock, brothers and sisters. And we have right now over 100 brothers and sisters who have created products, and we have given them a platform. What we're looking to do as but at the Rock right now, we are working with 15,000 square feet. We're leasing that property. We're paying $27,000 a month, but we're looking to buy a property right now. and we're looking for one that is at least 25,000 square feet, because when we get that place, it becomes our home. And from that, after we get that property, we will be creating a whole lot of smaller stores. Anywhere where there are UNIA families, we want to create a store. So, Brother Marima, wherever you are, get ready, brother, because we are coming. The Rock is coming. Marcus Garvey and One God, One Aim, One Destiny is coming. But my dear brothers and sisters, I do love you, and we are one African family. But let's control our economics, brothers and sisters, because Mr. Garvey said it best. He said, any nation that relies on another for economic existence sooner or later dies. Brothers and sisters, as Mr. Garvey said, God did not give the other man more than he gave us. He did not give them the same thing he gave them, he gave us. And we can accomplish anything and more because we set the tone. We have to realize that their modern day improvement are just replica of a grander civilization that we realize thousands of years ago. And brothers and sisters, we just don't want to believe that, but we want to know that. I want to hold it there just in case anyone wants to say anything. But thanks for allowing me to speak on this platform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, my brother. Yeah, that was a lot of power, a lot of experience. I know you've been doing some miraculous works in New York, and across the globe, which is is another part of the fear that the white world has had and always have had, of us coming together, as you mentioned, and let no political machinations, religious scruples, anything else divide us. Coming together as one. What could happen if we come together? Mr. Garvey demonstrated on a small scale what could happen if we come together. And just thinking about the great wealth of knowledge we have, the great civilizations we built, the
Yes,
sciences that we sent throughout the world that were refined in other nations by their sciences, etc. But our capacity to spark an industrial revolution in Africa, to make finished goods and not just give out raw material, but to actually technologically and industrially advance our homeland to the
of
point that
course.
we control the world economy and not get dictated to by others. The prospects of that, if we just follow Mr. Garvey's simple plan, are just so awe-inspiring. And to see, works in different places, like you mentioned, in Burkina Faso and other places that are now somewhat disconnected. But if they were to be a concerted effort to bring those forces and that genius together to make these things work, our whole reality for people of African descent the globe world over would change overnight. We'd
Of
have a new
course, brother.
empire. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the prospects of that is it's up to us to do it. And so we can accomplish anything we will for sure if we just put our minds to it. But that's definitely the right message at the right time, President Duncan.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. And brother, I want to thank you, because ever since I came into this platform, the UNIA, you have been a big, big supporter, a big,
Oh yeah,
big supporter. You never let any differences separate us. And I'm thankful for that, my dear brother.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, Garveyites recognize Garveyites. So if we live according to the principles and not politics, we'll all meet together and we'll work out whatever needs to be done to accomplish as our founder commanded us in putting this universal confraternity together. So I try not to let any thing get in the way of accomplishing that greater vision and materializing it in our lifetime. And I'm sure
Right.
we can do it. I've seen the genius we have in the race, and it's just a matter of us understanding the fierce urgency of now to organize and make things happen. And kind of like you were saying about the rock, boy, we need a rock everywhere. We need FACA everywhere. We need that model replicated all over the globe, to the point that we have Africa towns the way that the Asian communities have Chinatowns, while we can have
Yeah.
products made in Africa, sent directly from Africa and the Caribbean and Haiti and other black controlled nations, and we can have these products sent over by the millions to all black communities that have their own incorporated townships, their own incorporated businesses and markets, and until we can distribute on that level, that we just playing. We haven't even gotten started yet, but definitely the work you're doing is a demonstration that it can be done in this generation as it was done in Mr. Garvey's generation. So it's just a matter of bringing the forces together, and I don't see any real opposition to making that happen. So yeah, there's nothing to it but nothing to lose but our chains.
Yes, my dear brother, I totally do agree with you, and we just have to know that the people are looking at us for leadership. And when you have a people who have been trained to lead for 400 years, it's tough to then tell them to get up and lead. They are prone to follow. Therefore, brothers and sisters, those of us who have been blessed with the gift of leadership, we just have to step to the forefront and lead, and our people will come. Our people will follow because our people want to build, and we just have to give them the reason. We have to create the platform and the circumstances for them, for us to build. And the time is right now, brother. Brother, if we don't do it now, unfortunately, it will not be done. So the time is now that we have to make the difference, and we have to build a platform for our people to stand on, brother. And I'm ready. I'm committed to the race right now, brother. Right now.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Yes, sir. Well, yeah, it's no question about that. I was thinking that you were talking about it was one of Mr. Garvey's last speeches before his incarceration in January 1925. He did a speech in New York at Liberty Hall called "The Silent Murder That Eliminates,"
Yes.
and he was, essentially explaining to us that our impoverishment is no accident, and that there are certain forces that mandated its existence, and
Right.
that when nations of the earth used to attack people, sometimes when the Romans went to attack or conquer a territory, they didn't come in and risk getting soldiers killed by invading a city. Sometimes they would just surround the city, and they would lay siege of the city. They'd cut the water supply off. They'd stop the medicine man from coming in. They'd do everything they can to disrupt that community, that city, until it begins to get weakened and people begin to die off and starve. And eventually, they wouldn't have to go in and fight. They can just go in and knock people down. They can just take over the region. And in a similar sense, our community has been laid siege to. There's been people who have exploited us, and we've been dying, because of the foods we've been eating. We've been dying because of the lack of access to certain health care, certain other benefits that organized people don't have to suffer. If we came together, certain things just would be different. And not understanding how violent the economic murder that's going on in our community is, and how we can end this untimely death amongst many of our people by just simply organizing, using the auxiliaries, the Black Cross, the Motor Corps, having the industries, having the Black Star Line and the Black Eagle Flying Corps, or whatever airport or industries that we need, that other races have used and need. Just being able to produce for ourselves would save us so many lives and would enrich so many lives that it's no excuse not to. That should be the focal point of most of our organizing efforts. But
Yes.
sometimes, we get distracted by so many things that it's just, it's regrettable. But we can accomplish again. I'm confident we can accomplish anything. We will. If other races have done it, we can do it and do it better. So I'm determined.
Yes. So, brother, I want to thank you again for inviting me to this platform.
Yes, sir.
Anytime again you're ready, please invite me. I'm gonna be here for the next 2 weeks. I'm heading to Africa on or about the 7th. But anytime from Africa, I can always come back on this platform, because I'm getting ready to head to the program, so our mass meeting today. But I but I want to thank you. What I'd like to do before I leave, if it's okay.
Lost your signal if you can hear us.
Yeah, we lost him. His screen's gone blank. Maybe he's got a phone call.
Oh, okay. I'll give him a second to come back on. Well, yeah, definitely want to appreciate my beloved brother, for coming on. It's been about 15 years ago since we met, and yeah, we've been able to maintain a strong bond since that time, and definitely proud of a lot of the great works he's doing, and yeah, it's a good example of what can be done by all communities. So we definitely want to salute whenever Garviers come together and accomplish great things, and work toward replicating that in all of our communities wherever we are. So, but yeah, I definitely wanted to invite my brother on dealing with the economy, because no one understands this, like a businessman, understands how to utilize it for our benefit. And so he's definitely a successful Garveyite businessman, and president general also of the government of the Unia. So definitely no no divisiveness will be tolerated between true Garveyites.
That's right, sir. That's right, my president.
Yes,
No,
sir.
really, I wanted to ask him a few questions, but obviously, he's pressed for time. And
Yeah. And let me mention that too. That when I invited him on, he did let me know that he had previous engagement and it was kind of running tight on time. So he's not kind of disregarding the program or anything like that. He in fact squeezed us into a time he really didn't have. As he's preparing for the mass meeting they have that's coming up in less than an hour. So.
And we can see that he's in his car driving. In fact, we started an hour earlier just so that we can accommodate our dear brother for the short time that we did. So, much respects to him for passing through. And we're always pleased to have fellow Garveyites on our program. Ones especially that respect our President General to the highest. We love that because we respect our President General. And just looking at your camera, we're seeing that picture of Garvey in the background, that banner. my president, looking after us over here. How come I ain't got me one of those joints?
Yeah, I always tend to feel better when you may be getting one. Don't don't be surprised. It might be your Kwanzaa gift.
The sister says she needs hers.
I need mine, please, my brother.
The sister.
I have to deviate and go through brother minister to get to you because I don't have access to you. So I
always have access to our President General. Don't do me like that.
I don't have access to our President General.
All you have to do is say you want to talk to our president, and the minister will make it happen. Our president is a president that is available to all members across the world.
Oh yeah.
Please. I want to sign on that dotted line to have access, please. Thank you.
Yeah, our presidents
no problem.
Presidents that you can't speak to. Like you have those pastors in the church that you don't even know your name. They don't talk to you. Not our President General. Our President General is 24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to be. If we want to, any progress, so yeah, definitely. But yeah, I can see what I can do but to supply that. But there's a lot of I got my office is kind of a mess because I've been doing a lot of research lately, so books are everywhere. But yeah, whenever I have my Garvey in my background, I kind of feel like his presence is there. So people tend to behave a certain kind of way when certain people are in the room. Like if your mother is in the room, certain things you might say in front of others, you're not going to say in front of your mama, a certain kind of way, or, certain people who expect, the best of you are present. You're going to behave yourself on a certain level. So, I try to feel as if Mr. Garvey's right here in this chair next to me and saying, I wish you would say something out of line, So I'm trying to use that prop as best I can to remember. He's always here.
The
He's
energy.
always watching. So we have to be our best to get the blessings. But yeah, this is my office and some of my bookshelf. You all might be able to see over here. My
The
garbage.
library.
Yeah, my little study.
Those books there are not normal books you can get on Amazon. I'll let you know that as well.
And
Those
Yeah,
books
yeah.
there, yeah,
You
we
sound
can't
like a
get them,
banner to
sister.
Great Garvey Day to all. I would like
Oh,
a
Great
Mr.
picture of
Garvey Day.
President.
Marcus Garvey to President General. Please,
Yes.
the sisters with me would like to as well.
Sister
So,
Free would like one. Sister Kushti and Sister Lee would like one too.
Is it? Oh,
Yay!
yes,
Great
brother.
Garvey Day family.
Great Garvey Day, brothers and sisters. I hope,
Great Garvey Day family.
Great Garvey Day.
I hope, I
Garvey
hope that
Day.
your meet. You know what? Before the end of the conversation, we're gonna want to have a little update on your meeting today at the reparations march. But in the meantime, Mr. President General, you might have to create a business of those, and
Oh
that way
yeah.
you can put some money in your pocket and get some of those over here.
Oh, please.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes,
since
indeed.
we're talking about economy and things of that nature. There's no better way than getting some of those joints in London households.
Oh yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I was saying to you, brothers and sisters, that those books on our president's bookcase, they're not books you can get on Amazon. He got those one-away books that don't even make no more.
Yeah, we need all of that. We
Yeah.
need all
Bro,
of that. We need
he
all
ain't
of
giving you
that.
nothing. He's not giving away nothing. You can get a
Pirate
photograph
circuit.
of it.
On the
Yeah,
pirate circuit.
yeah.
Run that through.
Yeah, I'll take some pictures.
Yeah, he'll take some pictures.
We can print them and put on our walls and make it look like it's a library.
You know like that, sister.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at when I was talking to you the other day about Brother Minister.
Which
The
one was
honor
that?
I have the honor of being. Oh, well, this is the Foot Soldiers book. I don't know if
Oh
you.
yeah. I've seen that book around. Though,
Yeah.
the Foot Soldiers. I've seen that. I just didn't think it was a good book, but after what you said, I'm definitely gonna get my
Yeah,
hands on
it does have some issues and some errors, but it does also have some great information in it.
But the what other book was we talking about? I ended up getting it. I'm not sure what it was. It was the Carlos Crooks book.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was another one. There was another book that just came out. I don't know if it just came out. It's called One God, One Aim, One Destiny. And it's about Nova Scott.
Nova Scott.
Yeah, well, it's I don't know. It's about Garveyism in Africa. So I think that's an area in Liberia, maybe Nova Scott or something like that. But I'm gonna send it over to your WhatsApp anyway. It's a PDF.
Okay.
But the only thing is, it's like the pages is like it was a poor PDF. What's this one here that you got there?
That's the one I was thinking about. It's like the Foot Soldiers.
Okay. And what is based on Garveyites?
Yeah, it was an interview of about 6-7 prominent Garveyites, Mr. James, Adolph Sinclair. Let me see, Joseph Kennedy, Goldie Stewart, James Stewart's wife, Johnny Sparks, a few other Garveyites. Some of their experiences in the UNIA, but it aligns with Foot Soldiers. Like I was telling you about the poem that Mr. James wrote.
Yeah,
they had pieces of the poem in that one.
I'm trying to find out about for the brothers and sisters that don't know, there was a UNIA member called Carlos Crooks. He was like a child in the Garvey movement. He grew up, got older, and he was pushing the line about Garveyism. But there was a story about when the Italians was invaded Ethiopia. He went up in the Italian businesses. Tell the story for us, President General.
Yeah. That was Cooks. Yeah.
Cooks,
Yeah. Carlos Cooks had he was a Garveyite from the Dominican Republic, and he eventually came to the U.S., headed a division, the advanced division of UNIA. But he was always pretty militant. Eventually, he wound up going into World War One. That's the reason they had disrupted the movement early on when he had went to fight over there overseas. But Carlos Cooks was a militant. He was an atheist. and eventually after Mr. Garvey died, he established a movement called the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement. And so anyway, they were pretty militant when it came to buying black. You know, many of the street speakers you see in Malcolm's day, they were working for the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement, like Pork Chop Davis and Ross the Killer and some of these other organized street speakers who were, they called the kings of the African square, because they used to have a region where they were, you know, right near the United Nations and Adam Clayton Powell building today, where they would speak, you know, from a certain platform or from a ladder, and they would just talk, you know, African nationalism. So anyway, one of my mentors who died a few years ago, Charles Peaker, was the successor of Carlos Cooks after he had died in '66. So he told me a lot of the stories as well, as I've seen some footage of some of the actions of the ANPM. But anyway, during the Italian-Ethiopian War, when the Italians had invaded Ethiopia and were getting the best of the Ethiopian community, some of the folks in Harlem who were strong Ethiopian supporters decided if the Italians were going to invade Ethiopia, then some of the Ethiopians or Africans in Harlem were going to invade Little Italy. And so they, you know, the black folks went down into the Italian restaurants and stores and went in there and commenced to whooping big behind up in those stores, and wound up throwing some of them folks out of windows and you know, saying, yeah, we're gonna win the war over here, even if y'all win the war on that side. You know, we're not gonna let you have business as usual going on. So you know, it was some issues that came out of that. In fact, my mentor Charles Peaker got shot taking a bullet for Cooks doing some of those altercations. But they weren't afraid, you know, to whoop some behind. So yeah, it was a lot of stuff going on back then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, I like the show of manhood. I like when, you know, when our brothers and sisters, they hold the line. You know, we're not preaching violence towards anybody. We just want to mind our business and handle our business. But if anybody crosses that line, I like when our brothers and sisters defend it and hold the line. So when you first told me that story, I heard it before, but I didn't know if it was true. But when you told me it, I knew there was some authenticity to it, and I was happy to hear about those stories.
I think they had some footage. I'm not sure if it was that incident or another incident, but I think it was as they were leaving out, you know, some camera got some footage of it. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to that era. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, another one was St. William Wellington Grant. He was another militant that you know, was head of the all-male Tigers division in New York, and yeah, they had some characters in that group. But yeah,
stop right there. Tell them about the Tiger, what that is first, because some people may not know about the Tiger division. So before you tell the story, give a little background on the Tiger division, and then please tell your story. Sorry to cut your wisdom as well.
Yeah, well, it was an all-male division in New York. You know, they were, you know, mostly soldiers. A lot of them from the Caribbean, particularly what they call the Big Island nations. Normally, you would have like a Brooklyn, East Brooklyn, and a Brooklyn division. One would be more the smaller islands in the Caribbean, with St. Kitts and Nevis, and you know the other ones. But Trinity and Jamaica, you know, would normally make up the Big Island nation, so they would normally be in another division, separate. But anyway, it was a lot of little distinguished groups that wanted to operate according to they started clicking up a little bit. So anyway, St. William Wellington Grant was later on a political ally of Bustamante and others, but he always was a Garveyite. But he was the head of a division in New York that was pretty militant. So at one point, there was a fight over the Liberty Hall and who really had control of the institution. So after the Tiger Division met one day, they couldn't meet inside the hall. They had arranged an agreement to work on certain days and have, you know, this Sunday would be for the Tiger Division, this Sunday would be for the whatever division, you know, the different the not the advanced, what was it, the Central Division. Anyway, it was other divisions in New York who shared the Liberty Hall, but one particular instance when the Tiger Division didn't get used to the hall, they came there with their swords Legionnaire swords and all the whole nine, and wound up getting in the fight, stabbing a few folks, beating. In fact, one of Mr. Garvey's bodyguards was his wife was caught up in the fight. She wound up kicking somebody's butt and getting locked up. But it was about police had to come there and break it up. It was a bunch of fights breaking out over the property, and it got kind of ugly. But shortly afterwards, that's when St. William Wellington Grant just left and went to Jamaica. I guess he didn't want to go to court or deal with that situation. But a lot of people who were in the Tigers division matriculated into some other more militant outgrowths of the Garvey movement. So that was that. Who's that? Well, this is y'all may not know of an artist named what's his name? Out of Atlanta. He used to play with Pharaoh Saunders and some others, back in the day. What's his name? Ali. What's his anyway, his name escapes me right now, but he's still around. But his uncle was one of the members of the Tiger Division who had repatriated to Liberia. He got a book out, Davis. What was the guy name? Name escapes me. But anyway, he's a jazz saxophonist, and he actually was on the run. Had to go to Belize back in. I think he was with the RNA, not RNA, the BLA, the Black Liberation Army back in the day. But a lot of these people like the Saladin, Abba, what's his name? Lumumba Shakur's father.
Yes, sir.
Lumumba Shakur was the head of the New York Black Panther Party. But his father was, Garveyite, used to be around back in that era with Malcolm and others. But he was a Garveyite who, later got into Orthodox Islam, but he still remained, black nationalistic with his philosophy. But his son led the Panther Party in New York, when they got locked up, the Panther 21. And Afeni Shakur was his second wife. His first wife was married to Miriam Samad, daughter, who's Miriam Samad, is
great
yeah, she's assisted all the documentaries on the UNIA. But her daughter had married Lumumba Shakur legally, and then he wound up, while he was still married to her daughter, wound up marrying Afeni Shakur and having little Tupac. Come to find out a few years afterwards, Tupac wasn't his child, so they split up, and that was that. Then he wound up getting killed, but before a while anyway, Miriam Samad helped raise little Tupac. So he knew a lot of the Garveyite family. She considers that her grandson still, or she did anyway before she passed. But she had some pictures of him, growing up, running around her house. But anyway, there's a lot of connections between the African nationalist militants of the Garvey movement and how some of them connected with other militant movements like the Revolutionary Action Movement. Herman Ferguson, who was one of the members of Malcolm X's OAAU, and later with the Republic of New Africa and all these other groups, he had started a Black Brotherhood Improvement Association, which was all Garveyite, led organization back in the 50s. And there's a lot of people who grew up, Garvey Cubs, who continued to work under different names. But yeah, it's a lot of history to uncover in that New York region. That's the main reason President General Stewart, after he succeeded Marcus Garvey, didn't want to establish headquarters there because there was so much, division and infight and all this kind of stuff. He wanted to bring it back to Cleveland as the headquarters, where he had several strong divisions throughout the state of Ohio, and they were all financing this huge Liberty Hall. So, but that started even more beef with the New York people who wanted the headquarters in New York. So that's how some of these other outgrowths of the UNIA eventually emerged. But again, that's long, long history.
You know that story you were saying about Lumumba Shakur's first wife. I remember reading Afeni Shakur's autobiography.
Yeah,
and she mentions her, but she doesn't mention her by name. So when you
Yeah.
told me that it was Samad's daughter, couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because you know, Afeni was quite disrespect. Like the way she writes her autobiography about that subject, she was showing some type of remorse by the way she conducted herself at that time in her life, by saying she would go home and be like, "Where's the food? Why you ain't cooked?" That's the first that she's talking to the first wife. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, like Lumumba and Afeni was on some different type of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
She.
also, sorry to cut you again. Also, there's another story about the Tiger unit. I don't know what they owed money for, but they were doing some type of showcase with the pilot once, and you
Oh
know,
yeah. 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 The Black Eagle. Yeah.
the Black Eagle, right? And they said that you can't fly, you owe us money. And the Tigers came and said, we talk about within an hour we'll have your money. And they went round, and I don't know if it was 10 grand or I'm not sure the exact money, but they raised the money to pay the debt for the pilot, and the pilot flew. Unfortunately, the pilot had an accident, but you know, nevertheless, that the pilot lived. He was the first black pilot also. You know, what was that brother's name?
Colonel Hubert Fauntleroy Jr.
That's correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, he was he crashed Emperor Selassie's plane. So yeah, he was famous for flying, and he was famous
Famous for
for
crashing too.
avoiding death after all these accidents. But yeah, he was the first air marshal for the Ethiopian Air Force of sorts. You know, the Ethiopian government had gotten a bunch of airplanes, I think, from England. I forgot who sent it to them, but they had gotten like 5 airplanes. And so, you know, the emperor had his own airplane, and then the other ones were, you know, were all they had in Ethiopia at the time. So when the Italians came to invade, Colonel Hubert Fauntleroy Jr., the Trinidadian Garvey, he used to be the head of the UNIA Aeronautical Division, or department rather. He went over there and showed the pilots in Ethiopia how to fly through the clouds and to lose the you know, the Italian Air Force into the clouds and have them running into you know, mountains and all kinds of stuff. So he was, you know, showing them some maneuvers. But while he was over there, there was a big event scheduled where Emperor Haile Selassie was supposed to be doing some kind of showcase of the air fleet. And so he told the Julian not to fly his plane, that he was just going to showcase it. And so Julian went up in his plane anyway, without permission, and flew it around and wound up crashing the plane. And the emperor was furious. So, you know, then Julius came to him. You know, Julian came and said, "What, you upset with me? You should be thanking me. Say that plane was rigged. You know, they ain't had no brakes in it. You know, you know." So anyway, they started somewhat of a relationship, and eventually Julian got kicked out, and a guy named the Brown Condor took his place. Yeah, and he became the second air marshal, and later was partly responsible for the businesses that started Ethiopian Airlines and all that. So, you know, people celebrate the Brown Condor, Colonel John Robinson, more so than they do the Black Eagle because of him destroying the plane. But technically, he still had a role. But yeah, we even started running guns after that, running military weapons and, you know, all that kind of stuff all throughout the Caribbean and the Africa. During the independence, fight against colonization. So he was something.
There's something, you know, just for the brothers and sisters as well, you know, we can't wait for you to do them presentations on those historical Garveyites, because, you know, a lot of the time we only hear a piece about Garvey, because I don't think people understand the magnitude of Garvey, but people don't know about the members in the organization. So when we get you over to the UK to do the lectures about you know, the famous Garveyites, I think that it's going to be a treat for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we don't know, you know, we don't know, like, we talk about the Eagles. We don't. Most people don't even talk about Garvey's police. You know what I mean? Like, Garvey had his own police.
Oh yeah.
Them brothers were militant. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
Matt's father was one of them also, but we
Who's,
don't hear.
mm-hmm.
We don't hear the stories about them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of it isn't told, because, you know, there was people wanted to ridicule the movement, and so most of the so-called intellectual scholars, historians of that era, were people who were opposed to the Garvey movement. And so, these Rayford Logan type, E. Franklin Frazier, and all these people who were NAACP members or who were active with the Talented Tenth at one point, those are the ones who began, like Ed Cronin and others, telling the tale of the UNIA from a very negative, ignorant perspective. And people were impressed that they thought enough of the movement to make it a scholarly study of it, because most people did dismissed it as some small little camp of Negroes on a rowboat trying to go to Africa and take over some land that they had no arrangements with. But everyone was trying to dismiss it as insignificant. But as the records began to emerge and the Freedom of Information Act, was sent out, and all these records from all these different countries and all over the League of Nations and everything started pouring in, people begin to see, man, this thing was massive. It was far more than most people knew. So then others had to try to explain away what happened and how this pompous autocrat and this, little uneducated man from Jamaica was able to trick people into, following his ideas. And, the more they tried to make, these silly, give their silly opinions of things, the more people like Tony Martin and others came out and disproved it. And they got more recognition, and then more truth started coming to light. So, the attitude is starting to change about Mr. Garvey as being a fool to being a genius, but they still trying to make him now a wicked genius. But, the more facts come out, the more history come out, the more they'll have seen that, yeah, he was very close to doing some things that would have really changed the whole trajectory of the African independence movement, and all of our lives. It just one or two little things that he couldn't control that went wrong was pretty much the only thing to stop him from taking over all of Africa. And this United States of Africa could have happened back in the 20s. Had he got foothold in Africa, had the
100%.
certain betrayals not happened, and all this kind of
Well, the
people
white man
get
was not
executed.
gonna let that happen, though. You know what I mean? They understood. That's why they banned him from Africa.
Yeah, but they, it was just like when you look at the instructions, when you look at how he was managing things, because he knew all the corruption. I mean, they thought he didn't know. The Liberian government under CDB King, Charles Dunbar Burgess King, president, worst president in the history of the world, and that's saying a lot in the land of Donald Trump. But this guy is the worst president in the history of the world, enslaved a lot of his own people. He wanted to take advantage of Garvey from the beginning. That was just automatic. He thought this guy is a fool bringing all this money over here. He's going to give it to us. Okay, we'll take it and kick him in the butt and send him on his way. But because Garvey sent people over in advance who did the research and who, was asking questions, they found out how corrupt they were. He was already anticipating what the guy was going to do. And he had certain people in place to make sure things would happen. So, he was thinking further advanced than they knew he was thinking. And they thought they were just going to play him and take it, et cetera. But he had a lot of other stuff in motion that, like I say, certain things just happened along the way. When the commissioner of the UNIA got scared because some of the other people were dying around them who were Garveyites, he gave them all of our records of communication. That changed a whole lot. That alone could have just ruined everything. Along with the killing of certain people who were part of the UNIA support. The Supreme Court Justice J.J. Dosen and others. I forgot the other guy named Milton something, but yeah. Anyway, a lot of the people, our former potentate, getting sent off to Ferdinand Poe and all these silly things that was going on. Firestone getting coordinated with Du Bois. All these things kind of, because Mr. Garvey had a serious plan of getting a settlement established in Liberia, and it was going to be 5 different 20,000 acre lots, I think it was. But anyway, he was 20,000, 200,000, I forget. But anyway, but it was so many lots that he had established, and he was going to get the roads and the schools and bridges and everything else built and constructed. And industries going, the rubber industries. were thriving back then. So it was a lot planned, but it was also geopolitically or kind of militarily, strategically planned because it was right near Sierra Leone, and he had some people on this side of Liberia and had some people on other countries, and basically they were going to try to link up and train some of the soldiers over there, and equip them, with what they need to defend their land, so they can establish some real strong army in Africa that can help liberate the rest of the continent and build upon that. But anyway, it was a whole lot that was planned that just never could get off the ground because of so many enemies and traitors and
Yes,
Mr. Garvey being incarcerated. And this, not happening. That's not happening. So he got attacked from too many countries, too many times. Too many, people cooperated with him out of fear. And captains doing crazy things with the ships.
Yep.
I mean, it's so much stuff.
No, it's that when people say Garvey failed, I don't think Garvey failed. I think we failed Garvey. It's a difference.
Yeah, right.
Because
Big
if you look
difference.
at all of these shortcomings, it was because of people. It wasn't because of what he was doing. He did what he was supposed to do. Like even you mentioned the ship. The guy who was out here trying to buy the ship for him was cutting deals with the ship seller so he could take something off of the top to sell the ship to the UNIA, and the ship don't even work.
Yeah. Now, to some extent, that may be a little exaggerated because the ship was a valuable ship. Mr. Garvey, of course, knew it was in need of repair. That's why he bought it, because he can get it at a discount.
He didn't get it at a discount, though.
No, he got it at a discount, but he didn't.
What ship are you talking about? Remember, he had a lot.
I'm talking about the Yarmouth, the first ship. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, go ahead.
The way that people make it seem as if he was like if you were to buy a house to be renovated, the house needs to be renovated, and so you're gonna, you're not gonna pay $500,000 for a house that needs renovation. You're gonna pay $150,000, and then you're gonna put 60, 70, 80,000 into renovating it, and then you got it for a steal. So he got the ship knowing that it needed repairs. It's just that he didn't know how much, repair it needed, but he was misled in that way. But he wasn't like, I'm a big idiot, I'm gonna buy this big old ship for $1 million. It's only worth $2.
But it
was just he got over a little bit, but not the extent was exaggerated. That he was 6 times more than what it's worth. Nah, I wasn't 6 times more than what it's worth. But it was a little more than what it should have been.
Now I'm saying that the brother or enemy within the race, he knew the damage and he didn't care as long as he got his check.
The engineer. He was the FBI informant.
Yeah, that's the point that I was making. It's nothing.
Yeah, I know the point you made. I just want to make it, so people tend to think that Garvey was stupid enough to rely solely upon these people, but he had backstops to a lot of things, and he had to trust some people because, of course, he's not an engineer. He doesn't know these things, but he did have, he was a little more thoughtful about things than, he wasn't just a big empty-minded, overly trusting type guy, but they got over a little bit, but it wasn't, like he paid for a brand new car that he didn't know was a old, 20-year-old model. I mean, he knew what was, the at stake and what he was calculating would be generating money. But some little other mistakes, like when they got the alcohol right before prohibition.
The deliver.
I mean, things like that.
His fault either, because if the ship sailed on time, he wouldn't have had that problem.
Right. So, but the ship, people who were trying to. These were a lot of people new to business and new to the business, and so they were making promises to make money off of things. They were giving too many discounts, looking for too many kickbacks, and they were trying to. Everybody was just acting greedy and weren't really thinking forward about the business and driving and all that kind of stuff. So somebody was paying them $15,000 for a job that was worth probably $50,000, $60,000. And they like, okay, just give me an extra $1,500 and I'll tell them it's worth it. And then, they can't honor the deal because the ship hadn't even came back from port. And then, it's obstacle to getting it out there. And then storm came and the captain told him to throw some of the supplies off of the boat. And then wind up some other boat came past, who was probably
I'm
working with
stealing it.
him
Yeah,
to collect some of
it up.
the alcohol that got thrown off to the side.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just greed and vice everywhere.
There's a saying, Mr. President. Yeah, they said there's honor amongst thieves, but there's no honor among some Negroes.
Yeah,
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 trust me.
yeah. You're right.
We're moving up to the last half an hour. I know that we've kind of deviated. My bad. I kind of led the Mr. President down another road, but wheeling it back in because I like the stories about the UNIA. I don't know. I'm a historian and I love to pick the elders' brain. So forgive me, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is that there's moving back onto the topic. I know I wanted to ask Brother Race first and Sister Lee and Sister Kush about the event, which I'm gonna save to the last 15 minutes for them to kind of break down that. But I know Sister Nyasha had a question also about I'll let the sister ask her question. Sister, are you with us still?
Yes, my brother, I'm still here.
Greetings.
It wasn't really a question, it was more of a thing of I have this thing where I have a theme for the week, and how it tends to transpire is that the same subject keeps coming up throughout the week, and then I'll be like, okay, that's the theme for the week. And I just feel that this topic of economics is either a theme for maybe the last week or going into the next week, because it seemed to have come up a lot today for me. And somebody put on their status on WhatsApp, you just got to get money, stand on business, and stay out of the mix. And I thought that was quite fitting and interesting considering what we're currently talking about. So, just to add to everything else. And it's obviously something that's spreading far and wide, and we just have to keep on talking about it and staying on top of it. But I don't want to sound like I'm being boring now, because you guys were having a really interesting reasoning before.
I like picking the president's brain. I can talk to our president all day, every day, and just pick his brain on so much because he's like an encyclopedia, sister.
Listen, I put that on. If you go on my WhatsApp status, you will see I've put a picture of us, and I said amongst the greats, the encyclopedias of Marcus Garvey. So it's funny, you see what I mean? So it just
that's not me, sister. That's our president general. Me, I'm a student. I'm the student.
No, I'm talking about that. But I'm saying that you guys are more educated in this and versed in this than me. So I feel like I'm amongst the greats. Okay. You understand? So
let me be humble and say we're all amongst the great. President General Kamara, the one and only. Sister, you wanted to make a statement though about the court system. Let's touch that.
We didn't talk about the second part of the book when it talks about us staying out of the court of law, and dealing with things amongst ourselves within the race before we have to get external forces in that 100%. Don't know us the way that we do. So I just wanted to be able to just have a reason a little bit about that as well.
Let's go. And sorry to cut you, but I'll just as you said that, I thought about like when people have problems in their relationship and there's a child involved and they have to go to the court to make things sorted out. For instance, the man can get to see his child, he can be I don't believe that we should resort to those measures. We you slept with the man slept with you should be able to work things out together rather than going to the court. We must be able to solve our issues before the court.
But that we're also dealing with a backwards race as well, my brother.
No. Sometimes you got to go to the court. But I'm saying to you that should always be a last resort.
Absolutely.
And also, if we're Garveyites here, I'm going to let you have the floor.
No, continue. I haven't got anything to say.
But as Garveyites here, we must try to stay away from crime because we're not a criminal organization. We are outstanding, uprightful. We stand with it. We wear suits. We carry ourselves in good manner. We're not criminals. You know what I'm saying? So we got to stay away from the system as much as possible. But we're not an underground organization either. We're above the ground organization. Garvey lets let these people know we're here. Let these people know the good work we're doing in our community so they don't see us as a threat. Even though they're going to see us as a threat because we know how the science of these people work. But Garvey's trying to show us something that if we move too militant, if we move like a criminal organization, we're not going to get the results that we want. We're going to be shut down. Now, we know that in our history of black people, most of our organizations end up underground, but they never start up underground, is the point that I'm making, brothers and sisters. We must always stay above ground. If we end up having to go underground because of the pressure of the environment that we're living in, so be it. But we're not a criminal. We've not got nothing to hide. We're not doing anything we're not supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to hide. So I think Garvey is telling us that, you know, we mustn't do crime. We must be well known in our community. If you remember the other chapters, Garvey was talking about knowing your MPs, knowing your. If how are we gonna be criminals and be doing like knowing your MP? That's a dumb criminal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to know to make the state know you if you're out here committing crime.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, that this whole book, like us, like this, to be honest with you, sister, yeah, that I was 19 years old, yeah, when I read this book. Yeah, the very first time I read this book, yeah, I was 19 years old, and I am the man that I am today because of this book. No book that I've ever read transformed my life like this book. If you remember when I was doing AWF, when we had those meetings, sister, I would always talk about this book.
Yes.
I don't know if you this book, and I know for some people they may not see it how I see it. I understand that. Maybe they're more intelligent than me when I read it. Fine. But for me, I was a dumb Negro on the way to prison, to be honest with you. And I read this book and it saved my life. So
yeah.
So staying away from the courts and those things, yeah, we should stay away from them. We shouldn't be committing anything, any offense to make us go to court unless it's for the upliftment of our people. And if we're going to court for uplifting our people, then we do like Garvey did. There's more criminals outside the jail than in jail anyway.
Yeah.
And Garvey said that there's going to be more sinners. There's going to be more Christians in hell than sinners. So, you know, we're not worried about that. If we're doing the right thing, if we're prosecuted for doing the right thing, then fine. But let's try to be respectable men and women in our community, because that's how I see the UNIA. I don't see the UNIA brothers and sisters as low down, dirty Negroes. I see the UNIA brothers and sisters as people that we can go to for advice. We can go to our brothers when we're going through struggle. These people care about us.
Oh, there's so many things that you're saying that I want to say.
Say it. Go ahead, sister. Say it. Say it, sister.
To mind. The first thing that comes to mind is that every other nation hold their head high. They're not necessarily doing criminal activities, and if they are, they're doing it their head high. They're being held. They're being left alone. So why can we not do the same? The other thing I want to say is that every time I see something that's happening in America around something to do with Black race, they always quick to quote the NAACP, but they're never really quoting us as UNIA, which to me is the only thing that needs to be quoted, 100%. Because we're the only race that's for ourselves.
100%. But that's you know that's the sweet science of the white man, sister. You know, he doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to tell us something that's going to benefit us. It's like he would tell us something, but at the same time, he would rather support. It's like, I'll give you an example. Yeah, there was a time in history where we had a Malcolm X and a Martin Luther King. They were around at the same time. According to the documents by them, they said they'd rather deal with a Martin Luther King than deal with a Malcolm X. But they didn't want to deal with a Martin Luther King either, because they still killed him. So, you know, we can't really watch who they want to deal with and who they don't want to deal with. We need to, I'll give you another example because I'm straying. There was a time, yeah, when Garvey went somewhere, yeah, and they were talking about the Moorish community. No problems with the Moorish community. We love our brothers and sisters. But they were asking about this guy's going around the place saying that Garvey was a forerunner for him. And Garvey said to the congregation, I think it was in Detroit or Chicago, I'm not 100% sure. But Garvey said to them, listen, did I not give you the aims and objects of the UNIA? Did I not tell you what we're supposed to be doing? Don't get caught up in anything else. Just focus on the mission at hand. There's always going to be people that's going to talk stuff. There's always going to be people that's going to be doing other stuff. But let us focus on building the nation. And I say that to you, brothers and sisters, today. Let's not focus on anything other than building the UNIA, building institutions, and all of these things. Crime, anything else that the white man's doing or the Chinese man's doing or the Indian man's doing is irrelevant to us right now.
And even what we're doing, because that's also a distract. They use us to distract us.
Definitely what we're doing. But sister, what we're doing, I don't even acknowledge. Because if I talk about what we're doing, we're watching Pop the Balloon. That's what we're doing. That's what mass of our people are doing, is watching Pop the Balloon and bare other coonery and buffoonery.
Are not raising the race of our people. And just to quote something based on to strengthen something he was saying in the good book, it says always counsel Negroes not to be anxious to start litigations or to prosecute each other if it can be avoided. Just going back to what we were saying before as well.
That's when I was talking about the mum and the fathers. Like, if you can't avoid it, sisters, like if you're a single mum and you're struggling and this no good Negro needs to pay his way and you have to go to the state, I'm not going to fight against you for doing it. But try other means first is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying, sister? That's all I'm saying. Like that, reporting our brothers and sisters to the state should be a last resort.
Absolutely.
Is the point I'm making.
But unfortunately, as I said, you know, we are people that are just out there for having fun. We're not thinking about the long-term effects of how things are going to work, or knowing the person that we're having children with in enough detail to know that if things hit the fan, you know, how we're going to deal with it.
And how he's going to act also.
Huh?
And no, I agree with what you're saying, but we don't counter in how the man is going to act. See, this is you know what? I'm going to tell you a secret that I used to tell, like, my sister.
It's not a secret no more. Go on.
It's not a secret. I'm going to tell the world. I got a secret that I used to tell my sisters. I said, tell this Negro you're pregnant and see his reaction. Because a lot of the time, the brothers out here just want to get something that's between your legs. Tell him you're pregnant. You'll see the real intentions of the man. If he's happy that you're pregnant and wants to raise the child, then you might have a keeper there. But if he starts telling you, no, you were only a link, I can't have no child with you, you better get rid of that baby, you now know something earlier than when you really got pregnant. Do you get what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? But I digress. I gave you one of my secrets. I shouldn't have put that online. But hey, it is what it is.
But you know what? Sometimes we have to do what's necessary to be able to test the waters and see we have to do that, because otherwise you end up in problems long time that you cannot get over. That's a minor secret, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's wise or it's not.
I got lots of secrets though. I can give you them type of gems all day. But let's move on. Is there anything else about this chapter though? Before I go to Brother Race First. So Race First, get ready, because I want to know how this reparation committee went. But is there anything else, sister, you wanted to add about this chapter? Because we barely touched it, but we talked around economics. We had President General Duncan on, who is a well-known businessman, and he gave us, you know, the need for economics. But in terms of the chapter, is there anything that you, sister, want to touch on before I go to Brother Race First?
No, I think that was it. Yeah.
Okay, Brother Race First, are you able to conversate with us at this moment with Sister Lee and Sister Kush? We're moving up towards the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Brother Race First, you with us, Mr. President? Our president ain't with us. I can't stand a president that ain't with
us. First Race?
Race First. He ain't with us. He ain't with us, man. All right, that's fine. He is on
he's
China. He's trying to.
We're here.
Okay, that's what I like to see. Race First.
First race.
All right. You're definitely with us right now, brother. So give us the breakdown of this white conference for white people, by white people, for the ignorant black people. Give us a breakdown on this conference.
There's no other words that need to be said.
Well, you know that this thing we've gone to, it goes against all our principles. We know this.
Really?
No, I said
I don't know. I wasn't there. So break it down for us, President.
No, just on the point of the self-reliance thing and doing for self. Now, I was told to come here on the guise of they were giving out checks. They were handing out checks. This is the only reason I wanted to go to this thing. But again, we've got here the white people are in the building. They are leading the agenda. Lords and everything are talking. It's the same old rhetoric. Pardon?
Wasn't Sister Esther there by any chance?
Yeah, she was there, but you
What, is she
know, yeah,
cooning? Is she gone the
she
other?
went she went cooning,
Okay,
but they're
good,
bringing
good,
on
good,
Sister
good,
Esther blazes fire. We're not going to say
good,
that. We're not
good,
saying
good,
that.
good,
She
good,
She
good,
blazes
good.
fire.
And
She's
she
on her
blazed
job.
the fire today as well.
Yeah,
She was talking about she don't even know why we're in this building. Don't be fooled. Your enemies are in with us right now.
That's
She was
come on,
she was
Sister
blazing the
Esther.
fire, but
Come on, sister.
No,
Come on, Sister Esther.
but
I
the
love
event
it.
on the event because obviously I'm saying because I've come to this event with a particular mindset is to get the bag.
Yes, sir.
How do we get the bag? I'm not here to
Yes,
hear
sir.
how bad it
Yes, sir.
was. This,
Yes,
that,
sir.
third. We're lobbying.
Yes,
We're
sir.
close. We're far away. We might get it. Maybe we can get it. In fact, we might get it next week. In fact, no,
Mhm.
it's been pushed to next year. I wasn't here for it. All I wanted to hear is that, okay, we're giving out checks like we gave to the University of the
Of
West
the West
Indies,
Indies.
and I wanted to collect my portion and try and do something with it with our organization. But none of this was happening. It was just bare,
Okay.
the pain, the sorrow, the sweet. Oh, it's so hurt. Climate change. Talk about climate change. Talking
Mhm.
about the
Wow.
environment. It's all crowbarring. All talking about
Wow.
Palestine.
Oh
It's just
God.
crowbarring and that other things. This was a waste of time.
Really?
Yeah, it was a waste of time, bro. It was a waste of time. This was a complete for my agenda. Remember, I'm coming here with an agenda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
Yeah,
with you.
so
I'm with
it's
you.
a complete waste. So you're not serving my agenda.
Almost
You're
sound like
telling
it
me
was a
how.
tax relief event. Let's just say they put the event on to claim back some taxes. That's what it sounds like.
Do you know
Yeah,
what?
maybe that.
No,
Maybe that. Or maybe.
I don't think it's. I mean, not to disrespect your wisdom, sister. I just think that these gringos, yeah, they got a tactic that they do, yeah, for the uppity Negroes. So the uppity Negroes would have loved the event, you know, and they would have been like, look, these people are trying to change. This is a wonderful event, whatever. And they've been doing that for years. This is one of the reasons why. I mean, I always try to ask our president general, you know, the stances before I do something. But this is one of the reasons why I don't normally join anything or attend anything unless it says Garvey on it, because I don't know their agenda. What are they doing? Why are they here? Why did they put that on? You know, I was under the impression that they're giving away money for the transatlantic slave trade. That was the impression that I was. That's why we even signed up to attend the event, to be fair. So if you're telling me that they're not even talking about how they're giving away money, they're just talking bare dry mouth reasoning, yeah. What was the point?
But
What
that's
was
what
the
I'm
point?
saying. That's what it come like.
There
I'm
was
not
no
saying it's
point.
a tax thing, but it sounds like they had some kind of tactic just to say, yeah, it
There's
looked
no
good.
back. From
there's
no,
One
yes,
voice,
the
please.
back.
Sorry, brother, race first.
yeah.
Sorry,
There's
brother.
no
Race
balance to
first.
There's no balance.
Okay, can I just
Sorry,
wait?
Sister Kush. Sorry, Sister
Yeah,
Kush. Sorry,
yeah.
Sister, but Sister Naisha was saying something. Race
Oh,
first just talked over her. Can Sister Naisha say what she's saying, and then we come back to
You
you,
are
Sister
allowed to
Kush,
do that
please?
to me, huh? I was saying that that was the point that I was saying. I'm saying the same thing you're saying. Not that it's necessarily tax. I just use that as an example, but it's just
Okay,
kind of
okay.
that they needed a reason to put
Should
this
put
on
on.
to make something look good. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yes, yes,
it's like
indeed.
just as you said, just to appease us. Whether it's a
Mhm,
tax thing, whether it's to appease us as our community, this is what they do. I'm trying to reel us in to say, yeah, we
mhm,
got the numbers. But at
mhm.
the end of the day, you're doing absolutely, you're not planning on doing anything for us either.
Yeah, unfortunate, isn't it?
We're just not. So
Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, I agree with you, sister. Sister Kush, you with us?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, my sister. Please break down it, please, and blaze the fire.
All right. Listen. Apologies to sis as well.
No,
Sorry,
you
we
didn't
was.
hear it, innit? You
I'm
didn't
so
hear
yeah,
you
it.
we
didn't hear
didn't
me. It's
hear.
cool.
You
Yeah.
didn't hear it. It's not a problem. I was just
Yeah.
I was just making sure that it ran smoothly, innit?
And
So I
we
was like,
we give thanks for that. We appreciate
yes,
the
yes,
balance,
indeed.
bro. Okay.
Yes.
On the topic of balance.
Let it go, sister. Throw them hands.
No, I just wanna, give some balance because there was people like Sister Esther. There was, we saw some other members,
Yeah.
and there were
The elder
people.
from Brixton with the
What
shop.
elder from Brixton?
What's his name?
Brother Ras.
Brother Ras, the one that got the shop in Brixton.
The one that's got the shop in Brixton.
The property in Brixton that we're gonna
Shango.
see.
Oh, Shango.
Oh,
Shango. What's it?
Rashango was there.
Yeah, there was, you know, I see a couple of people there
Slow down. What was Shanga saying? Our beloved president from another division.
Yeah, you know, we got to meet him. It was nice for all of us to meet up, and you know, we you know.
Did he know who you was?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think he knows Frank.
Yeah. We're gonna meet. We've arranged a meeting tomorrow to view the
Okay, the
Property.
space.
property.
Excellent.
So just on that vein, I know there was a lot of people there that we would hold with like reverence and respect, and they were there ready. You know, they took it very seriously. They were there for an authentic reason for a fight. You see it. So I just want to give reverence to them because okay. So one thing I can say that I did learn there was, in regards to reparations, that it was the thing that I don't think that was widely known that when we talk about reparations, we're just like okay say for example, they were talking about what reparations were we talking about there specifically? Was we talking about different kind of reparations, right? But yeah,
money, education.
oh, we're talking about a specific place in Africa
And law as
actually.
well. I saw law on
Yeah,
there
so
as
we're talking
well.
about law.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, so when there was a specific country in Africa, but I don't want to get it wrong. I think it was Namibia. And then
Libya.
what they were saying is that in regards to reparations, people just think, okay, a group, a collective, or organization calls for reparation, but it doesn't work like that. In the actual law, on international law, your government, you go to if people within a nation decide that they want reparations, that organization then goes to their government, and it's up to the government to start the proceeds of reparations.
Okay.
But if your government, like what we know in many countries in Africa, and we had a lady who was from there and talked very passionately about it. She came in her actual garments,
Native
and she
garments.
was talking about the
oil.
yeah, the oil and everything that's happening in other organizations that are profiting. And she was very passionate and angry. And what she was saying is, now that we understand that when you have a puppet leader, that puppet leader is automatically going to not even bother to do the reparations. So that goes to show that that's another area now where, because we were sitting into the conference that was talking about law. So this is why, in regards to the reparation movements, they're now going towards the law, because the law might have been okay for a certain time, but it's not doing what it's meant to do for now. When you have a puppet leader, he can be the puppet for the West and decide to just always chuck it out. There needs to be a law that, yeah, that specifically says what exactly the reparation is against us in the Maanganzi. And if those countries fall into that, regardless if the leader wants it or not, reparations must go. I hope I explained that properly, but I just want to give reference. Yeah. So that was just a section within law, and then there was other sections in regards to other elements that we might not necessarily think link into what is stopping us for reparation. I think in regards to reparation, we need to look at it as it's like a chapter in a book, right? And so this is just another chapter. And when you go to this year's chapter, they tell you, okay, this is what stopped us this time. This is what we have to change. Then they try and do it. And then we know the powers of be stop it. So then they all come together and say, they've stopped it this time. This is what it has to change. It's drooling, like it's long, it's frustrating. And I can see the frustration in it. But that's just one avenue. And that's in regards to reparations, isn't it? We're about, like what Brother Frank says, self-determination,
Self-determination.
self-reliance, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can I think it's good that we made ourselves there present in the UNIA. We could say we showed up, we made love, we did that for our set. And you know, I think Garvey would be proud that we were there when it comes to matters in regards to our people. If we weren't, if it was a matter of you know, saying, you know, when the money is and whatever, you know, Brother Frank would have been there first in the queue, but them questions didn't come. But we were there, do you understand? And we support them in a way that we can support them, but we move in a way of race first.
Sister, you know, one of the things that it's very important that you brothers and sisters was there, because there has to be an alternative philosophy.
Exactly.
Because when most of the time these things go on and it's bare them uppity Negroes and they just with these crackers, it's not beneficial for us. Like, we need to be able to speak truth to power.
Absolutely.
So you guys, you brothers and sisters being there was that. Even if you never got to ask no questions or anything, just your presence alone was that. And if we was in uniform, it would have been even better.
And we just said that.
Yeah, said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it
We
would have
just
been
said
even
that.
better. Like, I'm waiting for our honorable President General to give us the uniform, so our brothers and sisters in the UK
Yeah,
can
we
look
need
the
to
part.
make a presence.
We have to, sister. We
And
have
to be
to.
honest with you, even without the uniform, we made so many connections.
Course,
People just came to us, and you know, the fact that we even met Ras there.
Yeah.
You know, like people just flocked to us. So yeah, the word's getting out, and people's face was shocked to hear that the UNIA is back. So people are
Yeah, we back.
excited.
But
People
listen,
might be
sister,
shaking in
We
their
were
boots,
never
but
gone.
we
there
ain't
was
gone
some
nowhere, you
faces,
know.
We ain't
boy.
never
But
gone.
we back. But we back here. But we ain't gone nowhere. We always
That's
ain't
been
right.
here.
gone.
We always here.
We
You get
just
That's
me?
growing.
right.
You know what I'm saying? But
That's right.
how I'm happy to hear that you guys made connections out there. I hope you gave out the Instagram and took numbers if you didn't give out the Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Because in the following days, I expect the numbers to be passed on to our sister Nyasha to connect with them, as she is the secretary that don't want to be
Our
the secretary.
tenacious sister.
Yeah,
That's
she's the
the emoji
secretary.
that I want to give
Yeah,
you
the
out right now.
secretary.
So
Yes,
She wants to be the
indeed.
secretary. She don't want to
imagine.
be the secretary, but she the secretary. But she don't want to be
Absolutely.
it.
I
But
second that.
she's got to play her part, and she wants to work. So work,
Yep.
my sister.
Yep.
No, because we got to follow up on these things. There's no use meeting people and not following through. Like they might not join the organization. That's fine, but we're gonna talk to you some more. Don't think that we're not gonna communicate with you some more. You know what I mean? So I
when we
hope
have
that
events and stuff, we have a database that we can invite people, you know, to support.
even on the like you said, the events, they can be invited and things like that. But definitely, like, showing a presence at these things as Garveyites is very important, because a lot of the time they forget Garveyites when they're doing things. And if they're forgetting Garveyites, then they're forgetting the people, because Garvey represents the people. So if you're not including Garveyites into the conversation, then are you really including the people? Because there's a type of people that go to these places, you know, and it ain't us. It's not the people that matter. And when the money's getting given out, it's given out to them, and it's not given out to us, the people that matter. Like, they've been given money. Even when you deal with funding, for instance, and you ask Babylon, like, we as the UNIA, we don't ask for whites philanthropy money. We don't do that. It's against our constitution. But in general, we pay taxes. So as individual citizens of the country, even when we go to these people and ask for something, they don't give it to us. They give it to somebody else. They give thousands, millions of pounds sometimes to institutions that don't reach the people that need it. You know, so it's very important for us to do this work, because we're gonna reach the people that really need it. So I love to hear that the brothers and sisters went, or the president and the sisters went to the event. But in general, in our community, we're gonna have to up our game, brothers and sisters. We need to be visual in the community that we live. Like, I can't express this enough to you, brothers and sisters. We got to figure out our program. I know that we're at our information drive right now, and we're about educating our members. I understand that Mr. President's put his foot down on that, and I stand with him. But even so, even though that we've set that record and we need to understand certain things, which is rightly so, we still have to be in our community, whether you're in South London, North London, outside of London, wherever you are. You've got to be making yourself visible, doing some type of good work in the community, and saying that you are a member of the UNIA, so that people begin to hear about the UNIA, but not just by word of mouth, but by our actions, brothers and sisters. Because we got too much people talking talk, but there's no works being done, brothers and sisters. So although we went to this event, and as Brother Ray's first says that we don't even need to be there, but we definitely do need to be there. But I understand our president's stance. But we need to be in our community doing something, brothers and sisters. And sometimes it's not about holy per organized work. It's just about, you know, how you doing, my brother? You good, yeah? Like I just a couple of days ago. I don't know if you guys, I keep saying guys, but you know, brother, our president,
Brothers and sisters, yes.
yeah. So brothers and sisters, but there's some brothers and sisters that wear these blue jackets in the communities. They're everywhere. I don't know who's funding them, but they're everywhere talking about gang violence, and they want you to sponsor them. They made the wrong move and they stopped me. So when they stopped me, I started blazing my fire. And you know, I gave the youths they're young people still, but I gave them a different outlook on things. Because I'm saying that the gangs are not the problem in our community. The gangs are a response to the environment in our community. Like, you know, Dr. Khaled, you know, we're not getting into some of his philosophy right now, but Dr. Khaled talked about the spider and the spider web analogy, right? And a lot of the time, we as a community, we focus on getting rid of the spider web. It's the system. It's the system. But the system is created by people, brothers and sisters. The system is not the problem. If we get rid of the spider webs, yeah, as long as the spiders are around, it's going to create more webs, brothers and sisters. So we've got to figure out ways to stop this spider, or ways where we can maneuver around this spider, brothers and sisters. It's very important. It's very important for us to do that. So, you know, right now we're studying the Constitution, which is good. And even though the conversation on Friday got a bit heated, I was so pleased with the conversation because it shows us challenging it, asking questions, which I want, which I love. Because you ask questions, you get wiser. If you ask no questions and you have a question and you don't ask it, you're going to remain ignorant. And Marcus Garvey teaches us that ignorancy carries the burden and intelligence rules the world. So we must seek to be intelligent any way that we can. Brother Isaiah, I see your message in the comments about how we can get our uniform. You know, there's 2 uniforms being made current. Well, there's 1 uniform being made currently, and you need to send over your measurements in the members group or get measured. And that's more of a formal uniform. But the actual Legionnaires uniform, we're waiting for our President General to send over the details on that, which I can't wait to get to be honest with brothers and sisters. I'll wear that doing my Saturday shopping. I'll wear that everywhere I go. People gonna be looking at me like I'm a madman. Like, what am I doing in this? But I'm not a madman. I'm a sane man, brothers and sisters. But go ahead, Sister Nasha. Let me not cut you.
No, I was just saying, I was thinking the same thing. I'd be happy just to put on my uniform and just walk. No,
because you know what's gonna happen to you. People are like, "Oh, sister, what are you a part of?"
Yeah.
Then you can. It's a conversation. It's a conversation. Do you know what I mean? So I know we've gone over our 2 hours. You know, no problem. I don't know if brother Sando's still on the call. I see you still on the chat. Is there anything you want to say, brother? You've been quiet for a while. I want to give you the platform to say something if you had something to say.
All right. Grand Rising. Yeah, man.
Great Garvey Day to you, sir.
Great Garvey Day to everybody. And yeah, man, I've just been listening to all of the conversations, and yes, we have to get it together. Yes, definitely. And I just want to bring something that I noticed what you said about the reparation, the reparatory justice. Is that the slave owners and all of the families that were involved in the slave trade, they've had their compensation a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were compensated from the day that they said that, oh, we're putting an end to this, and it wasn't, and it went on several years after.
That's right.
You know, but they've had their money like within the first 5 or 10 years of them saying that the slave trade had been
maybe 5 months
finished. So maybe, you know, talking about the reparatory thing there, I'm just going to, you know, so the slave owners and all the people who perpetrated the slave trade, they've all been compensated already. All the families have been compensated already. And all of the legacies that were left in the Caribbean, all of the buildings and all of the plantations that they owned have been passed on to their as a legacy to their generations. Yeah. So what we have here now is that we're trying to get reparatory justice, when really, like, it's never going to, in my view, it'll never happen unless, like you say, unless the right structure and process and put in place, and the right pressure is put in. And like the sister was saying, there's so many different repertory justice. What about, there's so many different facets of this repertory claim. And like I think the sister was saying something about within the African continent, definitely you can see what's happening there, because if they don't push it, in fact, even to allow Garveyism to grow in Africa, there's a great resistance. So it's only just now, and it's because of the youth. The youth are obviously finding out about Garvey and are grasping Garvey, and there's a need for Garveyism in Africa, so that the youth can get because you can't, they've always, you can't kill an ideology, and that's why Marcus Garvey's philosophies, it's so well put together. It's so well knit together. It's so well thought out that and within the scope of of people absorbing what he's doing. It's as soon as you read his book, I bought the philosophy of Marcus Garvey. I think I bought it maybe 10, 15, 20 times. I bought that book. But every time I go to Africa, and I've just given it away to the statesman, I've given it away to the Minister of Culture, I've given it to the Minister of Finance, and some of the times, most of the times I've given it away, I hadn't read it properly, but I knew that everything contained in it was gold. So repertory justice, we've got a long way to go. Like the sister was saying, it's a bit of a fanfare. It's about a bit of a, the house slaves do, where they sort of flapper about it and what have you, but nothing really happens, and the waves happen and the waves happens and then it dies, and obviously there's no real proper structure around this very, like you say, the slave masters have had, the ones who perpetrated the worst atrocity on our race have been compensated a long time ago, and they're still benefiting from the legacies, from the estates, from the building that they built in the Caribbean. They're still gaining profit from it. We're still controlled by colonial powers. We still have what we call the Governor General in Jamaica and in most of the Caribbean countries. So we still, although they say give us liberty, liberty means giving somebody permission. I personally don't want liberty, because I don't want anybody to give me liberty or give me permission.
You have to
be a free person.
You have to take that.
Yeah, we have to take it. You have to take that.
Yes, sir.
So we don't want no liberty. We don't want you to give us liberty, because that means that's colonial. That's neo-colonialism when you give us liberty. So the repertory justice, it has to be well organized, in my view. I've been hearing about it for several decades now, and I'm sure that I'm one of the ones who just gone to that meeting and said, "Where's my money there?" Yeah, I'm not going to go there and sit down in the corner and keep my head down. I'm going to stand up and say, where is the money? And I think that's what they need to be hearing at these meetings. Where is our money?
Yeah.
Because it's no longer that we don't know what you did. It's no longer we don't. We are the byproducts of what you did. Yeah. Where is the money? Where is the money? Where is our money? And it doesn't have to be an organization that goes in there. In my view, it's every person who's been a victim of colonialism.
But Elder, sorry to cut you,
yeah.
But I wanna state my position, and I want you to correct me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I need your wisdom on this one. But I'm of a stance to say that we don't have the authority. Right? No Negro on the earth. I don't know how much of us. Garvey talked about 400 million of us.
400 million, yeah.
Yeah.
400 million.
I don't know. There's 1.something billion of us now. Yeah. But what took place to our people? What our ancestors went through? Who are we to say that you can give me some money and that is enough?
Yeah, well, you see the thing, there is no price for it.
That's
what I'm saying. People keep thinking that there's going to be some money, or we're going to go and get some money. And I say, well, what happens when they give you the money? We were going to take a check and go and pay.
Give right back to them.
What are you going to do with it as a nation of people?
Give it right back to them, Elder.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to give it right back to them, go and pay your bills. You're going to go pay your bills.
BMW
buy a BMW, go on holiday, buy some extra shopping in a from the Indian man.
Yes, sir.
You understand me? So what you're going to do with that money if you haven't got a structure? You're going to give it back. Sorry, Minister. But somebody was saying, for years we've been saying abandon buying things from the Asian community, not because we're racist.
Mm-hmm.
No, just
Not
because we're
because we're
race
racist.
first.
It's not because we're racist.
Right.
Nor we
Right.
say don't go into an Indian man shop and don't, whatever. All right, you say, well, but me have to walk 3-4 blocks to find a Jamaican man, and when we go in there, we don't get no good service from him. Boy, I'll
No
walk
matter.
out. So
No
we've
matter.
got a lot of issues to solve. But what I'm saying is
Mm.
those principles that we've got to adapt, like President Duncan was saying about him having the rock, and having a farm in Liberia and growing the food and putting it in the shop and inviting,
Wonderful.
So that is another Marcus Garvey's philosophy. The farm is called Liberty Farm. I know it.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is, it's that sort of level that we've got to get to, and by whatever means and whichever or whoever that is amongst us who has the initiative and the industriousness and, like you say, the financial prowess to get ourselves in those situations, because it's not easy to get into those situations. The Indian man is not going to come and buy anything from us. The Chinese man is not going to come and buy anything from us. The European Caucasian is not going to come and buy anything from our shop. The American is not going to do it. So at the end of the day, we see that we've got no friends whatsoever. And all we have to think about is race first.
100%.
Race first. Build Marcus Garvey's legacy. 100%. Be part of it. Get yourself into the position where you can make changes, where you can have a shop, where we can have a rock on the corner that we can go and spend our money and buy a yam and banana, whatever we have to buy, and it goes back into our community. And it's nothing to do with racism, because when you say this to people, they say about, but I've been in this country for several decades now, and what happens is Indian people, they'll walk past 10 shops
and go to their own one
to spend their money in. So we have to have this. Like I say, I'm not going to use pan. I don't like Pan-Africanism. We have to have this African mentality, this race first mentality.
Wasn't a Pan-Africanist,
and maybe sometimes we have to walk an extra mile, but we just have to do these things. We have to start practicing it and try, regardless of if when you go in the shop, the man give you a screw face, you want to walk out.
No matter.
But you're going to walk out of there and give it to a Chinaman or an Indian man.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Sando,
or some other persons. And so I'm gonna come down now, sister, and you're quiet.
No, sister, don't go no, brother Sando, don't go nowhere now. Keep your mic open. We're discussing.
Yeah, it's not cut your wisdom, it's enforce your wisdom and what you said. Because two things came to mind. One of those was in one of the former chapters. I can't remember what it was, when he talked about Marcus Garvey talked about staying within our race, and no matter how much of another Negro might be a problem, you find another one, but you never go outside of your race. That was first and foremost. The second thing is, my brother Mizdo always says, you gotta love them more than they hate themselves.
Yes,
and that means that we have to love ourselves, which means we have to love them, which means we might have to, as you said, put up with the screw face and what have you. But at the same time, the more we go there, the more we support them, the more the softer they will become, that we will then join forces of our own people. We have to because no one else ain't gonna do it for us. So it's just to enforce what you were saying. Give thanks.
Absolutely, my sister. And like I said, I'm so pleased because I am now an elder, and I'm so proud and so pleased and so happy to be amongst this on this platform, just like President Duncan is, especially for me. So, and the thing why I'm happy about it is to know that this resurgence, this rising of Garveyism, and where I'm hearing people saying, I want to wear my uniform to go and do my shopping. And I think I don't think I need to know anymore, because that's it. That's Garveyism. That's the flame. That's the fire. And since 1921, 1922, from 1914, I like to go back to 1655, when the Europeans came to the Caribbean. I'll mention Jamaica, right, because they came there in 1655, and they came there with 9,000 troops along on 38 boats, when there was only 6,000 inhabitants there. And we've been the victim of that invasion since 1655, and the waves of rebellion and the waves of resistance as obviously continued since that 1655 invasion by the British government and their armies. So, and we're now in 2024, and there's no difference. But what is pleasing to hear is that our brothers and sisters are now taking up the fight, and taking up the fight in recovering their sovereignty, their as a race, and knowing that who they are and what they want to be and what direction they want to be in, to be obviously sovereign and govern themselves away from all of the other racists, I have to say, because we're not racist, who I was reading today, who all have a place in this society. The Indians have a place in this society. They're
100%.
respected anywhere they go.
100%.
The Chinese have a place in their society. They're respected everywhere they go. They have a Chinatown in everywhere they go. The Indians are respected in these societies. And I could go on through the whole of humanity.
But not us.
But where are we? Where are we?
Where
are the 400 million black Africans? Where are we on the table of negotiation? Where are we on the table of self-respect and dignity in this world that the Most High has made for all of us? And that's the fight that we have.
And we hold most of the cards. That's the funny thing.
Yes,
I mean, some of the greatest geniuses come out of our race. Some of the greatest inventions, as well as all the mineral wealth of the planet. You know, we right underneath our feet. Yeah, we act like we not players in the game, that we just some kind of victims just waiting to get victimized, as if we have no power. But yeah, I definitely appreciate what everybody's been saying, because to me, I always say the rationalism of nationalism is preparation for reparation.
Yes, sir.
The UNIA is repairing the parts of us that's been broken and underdeveloped, Africa, etc. Slavery and colonization was a disruption of African progress. It wasn't part of our story. It was a disruption of that story, and we can get back to resuming our development as a race globally. And now we have, the same communities that are victims or act like victims in different communities across the globe. These become the garrisons of a centralized African empire, and we can actually have them as outposts by which we can send goods and services and have marketplaces, and again, could control the whole world economy. It's just a matter of making up our mind to do it. Because in the end, people always talking about they want reparatory justice, but those who have to demand don't command. They have no power, and people are not inclined to give people without power anything, because they don't have to. And so if we want justice, as Mr. Garvey said, if we want reparations, reparatory justice, we got to be strong. And if we got to be strong, we have to come together. And if we come together, it can only be so through a system of organization.
That's right.
And that's us. And so, if we want to get certain things, we want to exact justice, we have to be powerful enough to exact justice, because no poor people, no unorganized people get anything, but a laugh. So, I mean, it's just a matter of us getting strong. Once we're strong enough to exact what we need, because you can't expect justice from past wrongs. You can't even get justice for current wrongs. I mean, you're getting disrespected every day. I think somebody's going to apologize for what they did to you last week or last month or last century. Not going to happen. They're not going to give you a tone for anything, because you're not going to make them atone. So in the end, with power, we need their reparations less, because we have power anyway. But with power, we are more of a position to force them to do some things against their will, because we have that kind of power. But disorganized, we can expect nothing but a hard way to go.
Absolutely, absolutely, President General. And like I said, we're taking. It's no point us waiting. It's a false hope. It's a false dream. Yes, if it's possible, if like you said, if we are organized and we have the right tools, and we can not go and ask for, but demand. It's not a question of asking for something that we know that it should be automatic. We can't be asking for something that's already yours. It's not a question of going and sitting at the table and negotiate. It's not a negotiation. It's not negotiable. This is not a negotiable subject here. This is just a question of manipulation, and people are obviously a nation of people are obviously refusing to accept the damages that they've done to a race of people. So I don't believe in asking for reparatory. I don't think we should be sitting around having negotiations about it, because, like I said earlier, all of the slave owners and the plantation owners and their estates are still scattered all over the Caribbean. And they're worth millions, billions, some of them, in some of the estates that they have. Some of the primest estates in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Barbados, and Lucius, and Kitts, wherever, in Haiti, in Dominican Republic, wherever you go in the Caribbean, you'll find these ex-slave owners' estates that are still owned by the families. So they've had their reparatory justice for the damage they've caused to our race. We've got no negotiate. There's no negotiation. There isn't any negotiation at all with you, my brother. We want, or if you're not going to give us our repertory, or if you're not going to give us, or you're not going to pay for what you did to our relatives, our grandparents, our great grandparents, our uncles, our aunties. If you're not going to pay us, and if you're not going to acknowledge what the damage that you've done, then there was only one way, and Marcus Garvey gave us that black print.
Self-determination.
There is no other way.
Yes, sir.
And we can sit around and we can be around the peripherals, and we can, yes, we love Mr. Garvey, but really our actions now have to speak louder than our words.
Come on, man.
Yeah, and what we have to do now is to take up this battle. And if we're going to put on the uniform, we're not talking war. Marcus Garvey didn't bring war. But he showed that he was organized. He had his legions. He had his Black Cross nurses.
Ready.
Yeah, he had everything organized, and there was a process and a procedure and a method of operations for every single facet.
That's right.
What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
What are we
waiting for you, brother Sando?
What are we doubting?
Waiting for you, brother.
What are we doubting?
Sando.
What are we? It's now that we demand our rights. We demand what we want, and if they don't give it to us, we'll organize ourselves like the great man did and buy some Starliners.
That's right.
Buy some buildings.
That's right.
Yeah, and go to Liberia.
That's
go to Liberia and buy 500 acres of land.
Go Ghana.
Go
Senegal.
Ghana.
Anywhere in Africa.
Anywhere. And
That's
that is our authority. That to me.
Right.
Yeah, they said that I'm an elder, but you know something? The greatest thing and the greatest pleasure in my life, and I'm going to say this today on this platform, is that I can sit down and listen to the younger generation saying that they want to put on their uniform, that they want to go down to the shops and in their uniform, and that is Garvey. That's Garvey coming back in a storm. That's Garvey coming back in a force that they always knew. They've always knew that this would happen. They always knew that it would happen, and I'm telling you the truth. I'm more than blessed to be witnesses in talking to the minister, to the secretary, and to everybody that's on this platform at the moment, is that we've got no other purpose in life.
That's right. I'm with you.
There is no other purpose in life. There's not a new car, not another mortgage. Not how much you're going to spend at the daily shop, the weekly shop. Not the 1 week holiday.
No.
Not am I going to pay my little £1 dues to the UNI this week or next week. Not if I'm going to find a £10 to turn up to the meeting. It's got to be one. Look, we've got to go back. You think about Marcus Garvey. Look, somebody sent me a document, the Marcus Garvey papers. Wow.
Oh, you want some of them? I got them, you know.
Well, I got somebody sent, but wow.
What did you get? Just one.
I got the whole thing. I got the whole thing, but I know it was from you. But what I'm saying is,
okay.
And my sisters and brothers, I do get emotions because I carry over 60 years or 60 odd years of pain. I've seen my people being manipulated, been exorcised, been subjugated. You've been led astray, been put into civil wars where they destroy one another. I've had more years of seeing that pain. I've witnessed it more. I've witnessed the infiltrations of our and the killing of our great men and the great scholars and our physicians. I've witnessed it. So sometimes I do get a little bit loud, but I know that you've got the energy, you've got the knowledge. We're no longer asking for nothing from nobody because we have a constitution. We have a race of people that are powerful. We're Africans of African descent. We have all of the wealth in the world. We have the best minds in the world. And nothing can stop us. The only thing that stops us, we know what stops us. We know what stops us from doing what Marcus did in 4 years. 4 years he did that. 4 years he took the African race from being on his face, from running from place to place in America, from being castrated, being hanged and drawn and quartered, running away from the Southerners, running from the Southern states back to the Harlem and all of these things, being locked up, being persecuted, being betrayed by his own people. So it's not about me and it's not about anybody. It's not about it's about future generations, just like Messiah Marcus Garvey. Everything that he did was watertight for future generations, that we would come, that we would see his works, and that we would automatically synchronize with that frequency and take up the work, and not shyly either. Not, oh, and please excuse me. Oh, I don't want to talk about this. Look on what we have been through. We've fought in their wars. We've built the Canada. We've built the Americas. We've built England. We've built France, Germany, Spain, Portugal. We've built.
Yes, indeed.
Right? What have we got to be ashamed about? What have we got to hold our heads about? We are Garveyites, and I want my uniform today. I'll do the same. I'll do the same. I'll even have my Legion sword as well with me. I'll do the same.
But
because this is not no joke business. This is not no joke business now.
Ella, we need to get onto our President General. I don't want to throw him under the bus because he's my dear brother and my president.
Well, I stepped down. I told you sometime to get out anyway, but I'm going to step down, and thank you for the opportunity to say
yes,
something.
Yes, sir. Blessed love. But our President General, you hear that, President General? I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. You know, I'll ride for you, go prison for you. I'm not going to die for nobody, but I'm trying to live for you, President. But we need our uniforms.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Yeah, I know you heard me. We need our uniforms, sir. We need our uniforms.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna call the head of the uniform department as soon as I get off this call and let them know.
Please do.
Yeah,
we're gonna close off in a second, Elder. So say what you're saying, and then please close us off. But I want to say one last thing before I give it over to our beloved President General. That I don't believe that we have the right or in any position to right the wrongs of the European, what he done to our ancestors. We're not in that position. Too many have died. Too many got thrown over the boat. Half of the story has not even been told. All we need to do is focus on building our nation. That's my thing. Build, and build, and study, build, and study. Without further ado, let me hand it over back to our President General. Sorry for cutting your wisdom, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you. We appreciate you sharing the wisdom. And I agree definitely. You know, for the pain and suffering and the wrongs committed against us, you know, there's no amount of money that can cover that.
None.
But when you look at people who have been in accidents, or you know, who get justice some kinds of way, they get money for damages, but they also get, you know, like money for lost wages, you know, money for other things as well. So if we just did the wages alone, they'd owe more than they have, you know, to give us. So you know, expecting it is one thing. I mean, you know, we don't need them for certain things. All we need is each other, you know, to concede that we can't be whole unless they give us what we need to make us whole. We've already lost the fight, you know, so they're not superior to us, and therefore we don't need anything from them. They're not our greatest enemy, you know. Our disorganization is our greatest enemy. So once we organize ourselves, we'd be more powerful than they could even imagine. It's just a matter of us, you know, coming together and making it happen. And yeah, we'll provide everything we need. But not letting them off the hook saying we don't deserve it. But whatever, you know, resources we exact when we strong enough to exact justice. But yeah, we don't need anybody outside of ourselves to accomplish anything that we need for ourselves. You know, we're the equal to every other race on the planet. If they can do it, we can do it, and they can't stop us because they're not strong enough. Only an African can stop an African. But anyway, in the closing, I wanted to just read a couple quick, you know, hopefully it'll be about 2-3 minutes, but read a quick piece from Mr. Garvey's one of his last speeches in the U.S. before he was incarcerated, on the silent murder that eliminates. This is a powerful read, so I just wanted to go through it quickly, and then just close, you know, with the motto. He said, "Now let me say this to the Negroes of New York, to the Negroes of America, and to the Negroes of the Western world. The greatest peril that confronts us today is the process of silent murder that is going on. In India, the form of silent murder is well known. Keep the Indians poor, keep them compounded, keep them herded together, scatter disease among them, and they die by the thousands and hundreds of thousands. Ultimately, you will get rid of them. In Africa, there's a different process of this silent murder. There is sleeping sickness, there is compounding in unsanitary districts, and there's hard labor. labor of the kind that no human being can stand for any period of time, and forced labor. All that constitutes the process of that silent murder that goes on in Africa, as well as in India and other parts where the people are not intelligent enough to see and understand, and where leaders have appeared, such as Zagul Pasha in Egypt and Mahatma Gandhi in India, and their forces that constitute the silent murder would get hold of them and ridicule them before their own people, so that their own people may lose the vision of the thing that they are pointing them to, so that the process of silent murder can continue until the murderers get the realization of their ideal. In our community, this process of silent murder is different from that of India, that of Africa, that of Egypt. I will bring it as near as I possibly can to you. A couple of nights ago, I said in Liberty Hall that one city marshal in New York City reported to me that in 20 days he had in his hand and executed in the District of Harlem, among Negroes only, 400 warrants of dispossess. Eviction notice. Negroes unable to pay their rents. In the city of New York, you have fully 3,000 marshals and deputy marshals. If one marshal in 20 days could have in his hands and execute 400 warrants of dispossess, compute the number of dispossessions that have taken place in Harlem, when we consider how many marshals have visited the District of Harlem among Negroes. And then you will get an idea of what I mean by the silent murder. The silent murder of an arrangement whereby the people are limited in their earning ability and are taxed at the maximum for their living expenses. Where must that lead to in the process of 10, 25, 50, or 100 years? It must lead to what I am talking about, the silent murder of elimination, and where a population was once flourishing and robust 10 years ago, 10 years hence it will have died and will have passed away. That is the danger that confronts the Negro in the Western world. Mr. Garber was very clear on our economic death and how it leads to literal death, premature death amongst us. And that if we really, again, want to improve our condition and improve our situation, it's going to take organizing. We can do it. Has been done. Mr. Garvey demonstrated it, at his best. And what, he was able to do, we're able to do. He was an ordinary man, but with extraordinary conviction. So let us closely examine the strategy, the plans, the vision, the format, the philosophy, and absorb everything we can to accomplish everything that we will. And with that, I just want to close with the motto of the association: one God,
one God,
one
let me
aim,
say it. Let me say it one more time: one God,
one God,
one God,
one aim,
one aim,
one aim,
one destiny.
one
one
destiny.
destiny.
Good night.